Oh, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Sir,
Good morning.
to
Oh,
university ten khata tang po kan lo attend dolo mo.
oh,
Vai ho te
oh,
po ten kan tum
oh,
kan nau te ho kal na ho kan nan chien te kan lo song ve na sa.
oh.
Zia lu tu yom thei tho à.
Okay. Kita sabi slides kasi am sugi rave ya, rega mo.
Yeah, how tak ve.
Kan isa chu oma se hemi tan bi yen a slide prim po he ka sik soi ti nga abula tain kai lo hetia a thu chu thu ran dita se a slide had en me ya ege mo attractive tur deu kha kan ti le deu mo le.
Oh, oh. Nắm đằng ho kha an lo phur vel tu an lo om ve nual mai the ni. Hale.
Kha chu han om deu sen wa ma lom ti tak be ka mo.
Nia. Hale, ko ro le.
Okay.
Okay, respected principal and our resource person, we are waiting for Mr. Lilo. Oh.
So tihian kan la hong lo mi participants ho ran join na tur he.
Sama ke.
Oh, hello, good morning. Vợ cái nó chạy nghe vợ lộc ra nó chạy. Hey, ayan na rin doon. Hey, aling dani chạy. Các vợ mẹ oh. Quay mẹ lâu rồi. Vợ mẹ yang. Sir.
Screen share.
Hello.
Nó cho mình được cách giấy không?
Hello. Sorry, Oh,
Okay, okay. Then we will start.
Hello, good morning, and greetings from Higher and Technical Institute of Mizoram, Haitim, and welcome to the state-level webinar on Participatory Rural Appraisal, PRA. This webinar is an initiative of the Department of Social Work in collaboration with IQAC Haitim. So dear participants, today in our panel, we have two eminent speakers to talk on the topic. So now may I introduce Mr. Lelrin Omar, who is an expert in the field of PRA and has got his diploma in development education and development leadership from St. Xavier, Canada and India. And he is presently working in Relief and Development Department in Baptist Church of Mizoram. And also we have Professor Lelni Loma, who has a legendary identity on PRA. He has got his PhD in rural development from Central Luzon State University from Philippines. Also, he has contributed for the government of India, for the government of Mizoram as a rural planning officer. And also he is the head department of extension education and rural development in Mizoram University. We welcome Mr. Marina and Professor Lelni Loma, and we thank you so much for giving us this, your valuable time. With this, may I now invite our Honorable Principal, Mr. Wansang Avanchong, for a welcome speech.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I bring greetings from the Higher and Technical Institute, Mizoram, on behalf of myself, on behalf of the college, on behalf of the IQSC and the Department of Social Work Department as well. And I'd like to give thanks to our participants and especially to our resource persons for today in this webinar. And I'd like to welcome our resource persons in a very special manner, Mr. Lelrin Omar. Pumarina, thank you for obliging to and accepting our invitation and obliging to our request as well. And I'd like to also welcome Professor Lelni Loma Punia. We welcome you afresh to our webinar, and we thank you for your willingness to join us here and to really be very instrumental for our students, for the career and the future of our students in their education as well. And I'd like to welcome both of you. And I'd also like to welcome our participants, dear participants, distinguished eminent leaders and those who might have joined at this time with us. So I'd like to welcome you all in the name of our college. I'd like to make mention that rural development has really assumed a greater importance in India today than in the earlier period in the process of the development of the country. So it is a strategy package seeking to achieve enhanced rural production and productivity. So greater socio-economic equity, and also aspiration and balance in socio-economic development is also included in this. So rural development is such an important activity that the country and the whole nation is taking part in, because of which this webinar is really very important. So I'd like to urge all the participants to take active part in raising questions wherever you find you need to inquire and question from our resource persons. They are very good, eminent people, distinguished figures, because of which I am sure that you will be given the wanted answers to your queries, questions. I'd like to urge all of you to take active part in this. And with this, I'd like to open this and inaugurate this webinar on participatory rural appraisal. Thank you.
We thank you so much, sir. Your support is always a blessing. Now I request our respected Madam Sila Remkluangi, Assistant Professor and a pioneer member of Department of Social Work, to give us a keynote address.
Hello, thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving me time for addressing topic and for being a speaker. Good morning. Today, I am glad that I am here in this manner to be the keynote speaker at the state level webinar on participatory rural appraisal. The term participatory rural appraisal is being used to describe growing family of approaches and methods to enable local people to share, enhance, and analyze their knowledge of life and conditions, to plan and to act. It is an approach aims to incorporate the knowledge and opinions of rural people in the planning and management of development projects and programs. PRA has evolved and spread from Ethiopia, India, and elsewhere. The basic concept of PRA is to learn from rural people. It requires field workers to act as facilitators, to help local people conduct their own analysis, plan, and take action accordingly. Chambers 1992 has mentioned PRA in this manner as an approach and methods for learning about rural people and conditions from, with, and by rural people. He further stated that PRA extends into analysis, planning, and action. PRA closely involve villagers and local officials in the process. So it is very important to make use of PRA in the developmental works. Therefore, techniques of PRA will be highlighted and especially focusing on how to systematically analyze and interpret the information collected through PRA technique and further addressing on the most commonly used technique in the field. In addition to this, scope and prospect of PRA will be studied, focusing on the role it played in the planning and implementation of projects.
Thank you, Miss, for your endless initiative towards this program. We shall now turn towards our attention towards our experts. And so without further ado, I now invite our first speaker, Mr. Lerwin Omar. So his session will cover techniques, analysis, and interpretation of PRA. And dear participants, please do enjoy the freedom to drop questions in the Q&A chat box, and our experts will get to you in course of their lectures. So Mr. Lerwin Omar, you can take your time.
Okay, well, good morning from Relief and Development Department. Today, I'm very happy to be informed to participate in this kind of program. So, today we are going to talk about the PRA, Participatory Rural Appraisal. So, since a long time, I use these techniques for our project works and yes, it is very useful. It is very useful for our project works. Not only for the workers, it also very good for the community as well, to know the reality about the village, to know about the reality of the community as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with my slide presentation. Okay, we are going to talk about analysis and interpretation of PRA. Although the medium of instructions and everything is in English, but I'm more comfortable, and many of the audience, many of the participants are in Mizo. I am going to speak in Mizo, and some parts are in English. I'm going to mix Mizo and English. We go to PRA. What is PRA? PRA is a methodology for interacting with villagers in order to seek their perceptions and thinking, understanding them and learning from them. Okay, let me say in Mizo. PRA kan ti chuanin PRA chu methodology mai khania. PRA chu participatory rural appraisal di na khani mai ta chu thingtlang mi te social worker voina kan audience kamzo ka hi social worker students te kan nia hil soidu tam tak kan nia paper kan zirle theory kan zir mai ba ka hin practical kan ti hi apoi mo in ka sia chu bang chen mizo to ka soi tam tak ka mizo to ka soi ka du ni thingtlang kuwa kan kalna te thingtlang until thingtlang kerla wa ko abik takin as community development workers we always focused on villagers, those who are in need of elevating their situations, economic and social situations. So participatory rural appraisal chuan thingtlang mi te mo ko puilo jok mi te kan choi kan tu te chanchin zukriat na le zirchian na an mani te na zukriat thiam na le zirlan na kha ani tin kan soi theyang hei thil poi mo takania adot slide an kal taina appraisal rural kan chu kan sia rural participatory rural appraisal ania thingtlang rural chu thingtlang mi thingtlang jok te tina ania appraisal means assessment of village situation. This should encompass both the potentials, resource, capabilities, opportunities, facilities, as well as their needs and problems. Appraisal chuanin an capability te until ti thei ve te eng thil nge ni kata khan opportunities eng te nge kan thil ti thei ma kan son theina tura kan ti tlang thei kha eng thil nge he ta enge ni sarkar officials ang chi thila te mo thil danga chuanin project planning te ka tingan ti don kan he ta office train mo ado kan tang te mo an han ngai tua chimi tang te chona nan thira mason na tur ruang a man din thina ni amai ro chu participatory rural appraisal chuanin khami te khanin at an ho target tur athingtlang jok te choi kan ngai te nen khan eng tiang nge kan ti kan zir tlana chumi mason na tur ruang am din tura thil om te le an thil ti theite eng ange ni resource om enge thiam na thil ti thein om ti zirtlan na kani chu appraise chu ni tani common elements found in PRA approach: self-aware responsibility, individual responsibility and judgment exercised by facilitators, with self-critical awareness, embracing errors. Kami khachurin thingtlang emo an thok tu tur kan vonita self-aware responsibility thilpoi mo tak PRA chuan thilpoi mo tak kan hriat tur kha omtani chuti chuan PRA active part vola tu tur entinan ki mani thingtlang vocal tu tur le an chanchin voice chianga thokpui tu tur kan ni chuanin enge ni ke mani individual responsibility til kan ti tur kan hriat chinanga ya ke mani capability le ke mani omdana kha ke mani ya kha kan ti tur le kan ti lo tur te kan hriat chinanga in ka sia chutiang chuan ti tur chutiang chuan ti lo tur te mo ha khamia vo judge samo kha ti lo tur ani ke mani zo ka kha kanin adjust anga ni equity and empowerment a commitment to equity, empowering those who are marginalized, excluded, and deprived, often especially women. Oh, kay mani kan ti tura chu ki mani ayam amo tingklang mi amo din mun har sa jok te khang tin choi ka na tura ni maso na tura ni wal khanin ki mani te ne na digna mut thumuna kan ni digna thumun nei kan ni in tuklang kan ni ti ka kan chet ngai ni amaro chu kan vocal na tura khan kan ngai tu masak tura chu engeni a marginalized section of the people like a woman mo tarle no pangte mo ngai tu ngai ka kan ngai tu masak ngai ni chun diversity recognition and celebration of diversity mi sang kan ni mai thei ni chi sang kan ni mai thei ni din honi nang lo tak kan ni mai thei ni community san kan ni mai thei ni chu PRA chuanin akhai khom ve kan ni in ang tlang ve kin kan ni turani ti kha ani ta ni kan kal kai la objective of PRA to generate informations and collect of data for immediate or future use, for better involvement of people by learning about their perceptions, experiences, and capabilities. Information kan lakte thatak ka ngeni kan en kola thatak ka ulukta ka kan en kha ngai ni nakin zela nakina nuwa kan dan han le turani amaro chu information kan collect kha adik che chuchulai chu dike chulai chu dik lobe dia ke mani na bo ti turani loba information kan yang apoi mo turanga kha kan collect ko turani for better involvement of the people by learning about their perceptions, experience, and capabilities. Kan target audience ate mipuyate theina le until the unexperienced ateka kan ngai lu in kan ngai poi mo turani adot le chon PRA chon natil tum le chu for learning the impact of the earlier ongoing policies and programs and to frame a new one til local to project program local to te til lo ti me chin chia chumi ba ka til thar maso na thar ngai tu tura duan chu ka til ti tu mani chon for cross checking the validity of the data collected from the secondary sources kan ma amidang in mo information lo collect to in lo ti to mai thei chumi chu ziak te mo mu thei te lo da that to khatiang chi en khatiang chi en non le na zichian le na collect ka te kha ni ta ni adot le chuanin identifying their needs and problem constraints and opportunities and har satna te juk sut kian juk shiat puite engangin nge sut kian na thei tur thil om ti te kha khami juk zon chu ka thil tu mani principles of the PRA optimal ignorance and appropriate imprecisions. Information collect information te kan collect nga til sang kan zirang resource tam tak kha PRA mang chuanin kanjuk zir chok theini kanjuk mu theini amai ro chu kan du tak adik tak tu rakha kan ngai tu thiam don ani amai ro chu tam lu tu ke mo hil tinatanga kan ngai tua khang hu jong jong kan pot pho mani chun har satna theng thin ani chu tiang chu kan pum pel turani eng hinge relevant eng hinge poimo tur tia kha kan ngai tu thiam turani triangulation atia chumi a chuanin kil khat chau ni lovin triangle ani chon kan shrenga triangle kil thum kil sang sang atangin apoi mo tu rakha information collect ka source sang sang kha ani turani hun sang sang kil thum atang kan ngai tu turani chuan offsetting bias mani ngai dante mani du dante mo chu tiang chuan yang a tiang chi ngai dan lo nei cha ka nei tiang lawani chuwang chuanin kan til mu le kan til share le kan til ngai thla ka tang te khan kan ngai tu turani rapid progressive learning chu chuanin til olsam takin til dik tak kha min zir tir thilani PRA tang chuan role reversal til ti ate po kha in thak ton turani angai renga mo bi pa ngai renga mo ka tiang lo khanin until ti aka and sa kwal ton turania chuti information dikha collect thei alo ni don bok tani direct contact chu kan share direct contact kan chuanin indirect and direct contact cha kan chuanin relationship mi puiten an pon kan nei ma thei zo banga tin chu bak information dik kan collect thei zo don an mi seeking diversity and differences thil pakhat cho mi pakhat cho emo khatiang lo kan chi sang shet kan tum turania ka soi to ang khanin community shan ni emo community sang an ni emo different class of people an ni emo religious difference rin dan sang nei mi an ni emo khatiang ni pukan information ka sang in kan collect turani kan ngai tu turani adot le chuanin learning listening and learning through participation kan participate anga kan ngai thabok anga ke mani in kan zir bok anga kan participate kan soi ve bok anga kan ngai thabok anga chimi tang chuanin kan zir don ani tikha PRA principle poi mo tak ani next Congenial attitude and behavior hey thil poi mo tak ania mi social worker ni tur chuanin mi kom ngei thei mi kom ngei tak le mi in hong tak kan ni thiamangai ni kan target social worker chana thil tum ber pakhata chu chan choi kan ngai te choi kan puite chan pui ngai te kan puite thiana bo siam te har sat na bo sut kian puite khania khatiang ti tur chuanin congenial attitude and behavior ka thil poi mo takani khatiang behavior ka kan nei ka apoi mo ni di learn to learn kan shiat sa ang chi ka kan shiat sa anga kan bo in po sa mo kan shiat sa ang chi kan shiat oni ti ni lo khanin kan shiat na ta shelo anga kan om pota chumi tan kan zir ka apoi mo ni critical self awareness kan soi to mania in zir chian na kan nenga engla hinge ke ma sim that ngai heng ne na thok tur hianin hemi thok tur hian enge ni ke ma sim that ngai as being a social worker kan ngai tu angai ni tikha principal poi mo tak pakhatania chon changing behavior and attitudes kapo behavior kan ngai tu dan le kan thil mu dan te kan thil khir dan te kha situation ne na in mila kan ngai tu thiam kha poi mo ni chuan culture sang te po kan ni thia kanin shera katianga luti kha apoi mo ani etiani chuan commitments to equity chuan mitin ni in tu klang dikna khatnei kan ni being as a human angpon chuwang chuanin khamia khan kan ngai tuana kan da angaya ka sang zo ke mo kalau she zo ke mo ka tiam zo ke mo tiang dian ti se dik zo kani ti na lampang lo khan ke mani kan thatlang ani pia an mani ke mani shiat na le an mani shiat na kan bel khoma kan fin on ka hangai ni atiani PRA involves shifts of emphasis from the dominating to empowering dominate kan ti chuanin midang vo dominate mo vo chungtla ka mo an shiat na bot ai shezo ka intina ai chuanin kan shiat na ti puting turin shiat na ti puting turin athokani PRA chuanin PRA mang chuanin chun close to open close min khar khip tak te poka in hong taka kan siam thei ka hilin khar khip tak tak thil in hong taka poimo taka kan siam thei don ani etiani individual to group mizo to fing point tran ruali chakna ni etia amala ti ai chuanin at pola kan ti khani kan chak thei ni ti kha PRA chuanin athil tum mimala thil ti ai chuan apola ti kha athil tum mani ni athil suai tum mani as a social worker ang point individual activity ai chuanin group kan tia nakin zela pu khatinga kan ti khan apoi moa kan chak jok the ni ti kha kan thiat man fu poi mo in ka sia chuan verbal to visual soiri mo ti tok lo ni voini apo hian hei thu kan han soya practical ten han ti la amuna te han kalin thil han ti ho ka irang chuanin thil tuna hina hlo thlak le zual jok donin ka sia amai ro chu voina kan ti the ang chu ti khan kan han ti ania verbal at chu soi mai ni lovin visual le na ti kha until tangkai ni tiani measuring to comparing ranking and scoring until tia khan PRA dana chuanin atea azukai kina chuba ka chuanin rank asiam sakthina ni end of experience to fun guilty kan experience kai waga khanin limna chumi chen min thlen thina ni yani chu kan thlen don ni chu times as per the convenience of the village fun ka ke mani social worker mo amal tu tu social worker te khan ke mani rem chandan ain akhua kan target people ate kan target missing ate rem chandan kha kan ngai pui mo jok turani chutiang chu kan bong turani chuan create a comfortable atmosphere discussion te PRA dana chun discussion kan lo nei te mo soi ho te kan lo nei do na mo interview kan lo nei do na mo khatiang ani khanin borok jang khai tak borok nuam tak kan siam turani not to find answers to their problems. We don't have to find answers from their problems, but we have to seek how to tackle that problems together, how to not to ask what are the villagers' needs. We don't have to put themselves, we don't have to depend, we don't have to let them depend on us. We don't have to ask their needs. What is their needs? They might have needs. If they have needs also, we have to find together how to meet their needs. And mani kan mamo vozo amo engenin mamo engenin du ibot boti kachuanin kimania independency kasiam thoi dona an mani an nathok thailo inamo kimania minrin klak naka katin kasiam dona ni chu PRA dan chuanin adu top lo ani flexibility to be maintained chumi hun chiat chu ni a hun chiat kan tiang hemi bak chu thailo tiang chi te meeting te mo lo kai soi don tai la ani lo pun activities lo nei don tai la hemi chin chiat hi mi a hian kan ti lo chuan tiang chi kha PRA dan chuanin adu vak lo ani kan rem chan dan in farmers te mo farmers an ni kher lo pun kan target mi puite rem chan dan ang chi ten khan kan ngai tu tlanga flexibility kan nei tu rani probing with open-ended question zona siama khanin open-ended question kan sianga open-ended question da kan siam thin turani research kan lo ti the point researcher so in open-ended question na siam lo chun information kha a limit lu tuk chinai chu kan siam open-ended question kan siam hian mishing le kan target te le ke mani mishing tenen po kan lo in po nel pha thinani thil tam tak alo chuak thinani not to impose loaded options an mani athil thantur ti turakha loaded options nasalu tukinamo an mani zu pressure de wa mukhan ti lo turani tiani no promises during PRA participatory rural appraisal kan thil ti lai khanin promise siam lo tur atiani chu golden rules poimo tak tak kan share turani next to act as a students zirlai ka kan ni vek therlo mai theni amai ro chu zirlai chon in thil tam tak hriat adua ngun takina ngai tha ngun takina zir chiang thina ni ta hriat cha ni ti thinlung kun ani chorin keima ania kan ril ruwa hriat tur bel tur du na khai hong lo thina di to act as a students if you are a student you have to listen carefully you know you want to write in exam you want to get a good marks so that to get a good marks to know more things to write and you have to listen carefully so student angin zirlai te angin kanam turan etiani be a good listener no bias or prejudice. We already talked about this. So objectives and judgmental attitude and non-judgmental attitude. Epo kan say to kan thil tuma kan chiang turani kan thil tuma kan focus turani ya adik lobetin judgment ka kan siam pot tur ani lo ini chu do's and don'ts if he golden rules and kana in an tam takoma listen and learn and look he tam taka chuanin money experience lo nei te na thil han sui pun khai khin all view thina interview te han nei te le amo engemo thil kan han zir ti rang chi te po ngun taka kanin ente amo ngun taka kan ngai tha kan lo thin lung taka zir du na sia du na kan nen chun ngun takin kan kan ngai tha china ni khatiang kha kan ti lo chuanin kan shet chin lo mani chu bang chuanin PRA dan chuanin PRA chuanin heng te hi ti turani ngun takena ngun taka ngai tha ka zir turani atiani facilitate and don't dominate kan facilitate anga kan ti puyanga ma kan suayanga kan zir tiranga kan ziranga amai ro chu kan vo dominate turani lo kan ti boy turani lo bok we don't interrupt when people are mapping modeling or diagramming let them get on with it mapping te tools sakina kan la soi chojel turangai taila tools and techniques are kanin diagram te mapping te villager so te kan target audience te kan han siam ta anmani thiam dan anmani shiat dan atira kan shil ati dan to kan zirtir bagan thiam dan an shiat dan ka kan ngai hlu turani kan ti tiranga chu kan ngai hlu turani when people are thinking or discussing before replying give them time to think or discuss social worker tan chuan training kan lo pe ya zirtir na kan lo pe ya amo kan han tho puya thil kan discuss thil an discuss hun pek turani ani lowa chu ti chen in zo toem pakati ba ro kaka in ti toem chu tiang chuan tiu kan ti wat chuanin aboi thak thin ani hun thol kan peka thil dik information tha kan she du ni chuanin and discuss like a uluk taka hun kan peka chu tianga kan ti chu angai ani no rushing spend sufficient time man mo takati lo turani atia hun tam tak hun thol tak kan nga thiam ngai ni china kan sei tuwa kan pat nge ni at khua akhumi te kan target people te hun rem chang kan ngai tua thiam ani lo chuanin man mo takati te aul china hun tam jok kan nei the lo china ni chu wang chuanin hun tam jok le hun thol jok nei tur chuanin khatianga kan ti kha angaya hun thol tak nei the turin an mani rem chan hun kha kan ngai tu apoi mo ani chuan embrace error ami fing zoka ami thiam zoka example ang den ka soi zel dona ami fing zoka te mo ami thiam zoka te kan di po ni mai the adik lo hei hi thalo kan te kan complain zut chuanin kan target people ate kha kan target audience ate kha olsam takin an mane kha anin thahung mai don ani information kan do kha kan collect thei don lo chu wang chuanin adike mo adik lo point ngai na thiam phok turani we all make mistakes and do things badly sometimes never mind don't hide it adik lo palte pon kan lo ti mai the ni amaro chu judge zung lo turani kan ngai na thiam potang ti khani ask yourself who is being met and heard and what is being seen and where and why and who is not being met and heard and what is not being seen and where and why keimani introspection associate worker te khanin ke mani kanin exam mi na ke mani kha eng tiagin nge eng hi eng wange eng tin nge ke mani chiang takathil se turte til zir chiang tur khanin kanin ngai tu chian apoi moni chu ke mani kanin zo tin ke mani kanin x-ray chin turani meet people when it suits them and when they can be at ease, that when it suits us. This implies even more strongly to women than to men. Kachukan say to and rem chan hunte kan target machine te kan thopui turte rem chan hunte ka ngai pui mo turani dan khau tak siama chumi huna keima rem chan hun jing dar kwale chan ve karon kalang jing dar kwale chan ve hemi hun ni kan mangang chu tiang ka te chuan tiang ti ni lovin jing dar kwa an rem chang ngem jing dar kwale chan ve khan kan target machine te hi hun nan nei yem hemi huna hen kan zir chiang thayem hemi hunin hun ola ni yem ti kha mi pa po mei chia po ane mo mei chia khan ka teng kha tam du zo ka chung chu kan ngai tua po angai ni allow more time than expected for team interaction and for changing the agenda kan hun base ai tamani pun kan hun ruat ai tamani pun kha ngai tua thiam turania agenda kan thu ngai tua turte khak hunte le ati dan tur kha kan ngai tua zung thiam kha poi moni be nice to people ipuizinga imani kan popui turte a khanin friendly takin kanom turania open takin kanom turania atmosphere thatak kan siam turania antan thopui turan mani te nen thoko tur kan ni awangin kan chale turani enjoy. It is often interesting and often fun. Hey hi ke pun ka experience ho thina thingtlang ate a khote zo ka na kan han thoka thil discussion te kan han neya atira thu kan han soila ya mo training kan han organize pon thu kan han soi mol lai chen an lo ngoi de thapa ama ro chu thil soi ho te kan han neya an mani te ne na khatia sharing hun te kan han neya an experience han share khanin nuam takin boruak nuam takin alo omta an mani tang thil tam tak kan zira ki mani tang an shiat ve turta na poi mo kan ti ba akan ngai ba ko an lo experience an lo share tang khanin kan shiat kein mani tanga kan shiat tir vele chon tur tamzo ka te po kan shiat bel pa an mani tang tam tak kan zir thin bokani ask open ended question ni chu kan sei to show interest and enthusiasm in learning from people kan ti phur thiama an interest kan ngai pui mo ni kan ngai hlu ni ti kha kan ngai tu thiam kan ti lan thiam kha pui mo hle ni chuan use the six helpers in te chung chu who what where when why and how tu te nge ni eng tin nge ni khoya nge eng ti ka nge eng wangin nge eng tiagin nge ti kha kan ril ruwa kan ngai pui mo in kan ngai tu reng tu ra ni ngai tu akil khor ngai vi mani kathil shiat mo technically kathil shiat vo shil top ai chon eng tiagin nge kan man tang ka yang khoi muna nge eng tin nge ni yang eng tin nge choi kang turin eng hi mason na nei thei turin eng tin nge kan piang ti kha atang kai zong kan man thiam ka apoi mo hle ani PRA dana chuan PRA chuanin method techniques of PRA various methods and techniques of PRA ati dana a techniques ka tam takoma kan soivek seng lobang ama ro chu a thren la hen karon tar chu ka transit work antia PRA hi na china kha kan ho tu nu na sei to mi sang choi kan ngai jok te din mun har sa jok te choi kan na tura ta na thil poimo thil man ruwa thatak ti dan thatak methodology poimo takania aman ruwa te hi thil mol mang tak tak tingtlang mi te le khazir sang lem lo te mi har sa tak tak te mi fingwan lu tuk lo te poina an shiat thik dan tura man ruwa siam tam tak omani mason na nei thei tur chuan thil kan hriat anga ya enge ni kan nei enge ni ke mani ya eng potential nge achina kan soeng khan resource nge ti kan hriat apoi mo ni chu tiang hre tur chuan in technique sang participatory rural appraisal moi hian oma pakhatna chuan transit work antia transit work chu chen ka chung kan hre to mai thei mun ma ke mani khuwa hetian khuwa kan chenga entinan lunglei khoi ni mo aizol khoi ni mo inai chen ngot chuan in zawai hriat po har mai thei ni tei chuak lova lekha zirchi te po lo ni ta angla lekhai lo ziri yom mot mo chuan ishek bek kher lo mai thei ni chu tiang hre tur chuan transit work being a social worker you have to know the reality the landscape what kind of people what kind of resources is available in the village where you are going to work with an din mun le until nei ten mun tek kan hria ta poi mo ni chumi hre tur chuan a point pakhat na chuan transit work kan ti anga a poi mo hemi chu lo po hian thil tul sang sang oma heng hi ka poi mo ka ti zual do karon ta langa transit work chu kan target khuwa khanin kan kalta akipa koin kan kal chuak don ani aveng entinan veng chunglam an lo oma mizoram anga chan tlang ram ani veng huaila malo oma veng chunglama tangin veng huaila mai kala veng huaila ma tangin achungla mai kal le dinglama tangin chimlama tangin veilama eng thil tenge ni enge ni aram oidan aram leilung dante le a le that dante khoi mun hinge tui na mun khoi lai mun ange ni le that deu na mun agriculture lama ma lo la don tai la khoi lama nge le tha khoi lai hinge ran bul na mun tan thang khoi lai cheng te hinge ran bul turin thang ti hriat theina turata chin chian nen khoi lai mun ange chung thil chu e khoi lai mun hinge entinan disaster lama tu kan lo ni ni chuan khoi lai hinge disaster prone de khoi hinge le min lo na mun lai khoi mun hinge ka kami lai kan tar ke pi pui ta nan film kur ngai na mun thala lo ni kang mei lo chok china khoi lai mun a hian nge ni film kur ngai khoi hinge an huan ram lo ni nge ni mei kong sial na tu tiang chi te khoi lai hinge tuilak na tu rata na tangka yang an huani thasi thlai mun te lo siam don se khoi lai a nge ni tuilak na mun te aram zuk hriat chian na tu rata na zuk kal na transit work an tia chuta chon thil tam tak chin chia tu roma tongpong kala engemo kan vocal mai ang ka chuani ani lovani ta chuanin vocala eng tenge ni thil eng angin nge ram leilunga ti bosiat chian na khani atot le chuanin historical mapping a chu pi le pu te changin an pi le pu te changin mo kun rei taka changa thil lo thleng chin te tin chu ba ka chuanin tun hnu to lem lo tun ma lo te en tinan tun ma in helai muna hianin pason tlung atlo atong thina mau pa atong thina chulai chuanin eng lo le donim tiang chi te kha thil ho te a poni se kum chu ti za ta chun ne shipui a lenga helai a hian shi a lenga chumi kuma chuna rea tiang chi te aram chanchin kan hriat theina turin helai muna hian hilai tlang chunga khianin kum chu ti zat liam to kum som ni liam to kan lekhi na sat ta ka oma voinia in sakna tur mun ma kan ma mo sia chu tiang chi te chu helai kum som ni som thum liam ton lo chin chia kha tunami te khan lo mang tang kai do na ni khatiang khan eng ange ni upa te akhua mi te ho te khatiang zo te transit ko kan nei pa te pu khan khang ai to the ni historical mapping a chuan thil lo thleng to te tun mai ni lo hun malama thil lo thleng to te chin chiana amun hre chena tur tan khan ani tuan time trend king te po hun kal to hun man dan turam chi te hun kal to te khatiangal thil hun thleng lo chin chiana tur khani atu le chen social mapping kan tia social mapping a po eng khatiang deuh tho khan eng thil tenge ni engang thiam na tenge resource mapping kan nei boka engang resource nge tui la tur lo ni tai la tui thaim ne khoila ya nge khoi mu na nge mi pui ban tlang man atana kan ti theyang tu tenge mi thiam aku a hian mi thiam han ron turan em mi thiam ron tur pakhat ma box si lo tui lak lo tum box si ka chuan te apoi zia nei don lawani tin electricity te pokan lo pot ru dona ami thiam box si lo amai ro chu ti ve kan du box si khatiang te pok hom the ni tin chet pok an lo pala engeni disaster te lo thleng ta khatianga khan eng ange kan po hetianga mi thiam tran puina tu thok thei engzat nge kan nei nursing first aid na thok tur mi thiam nurse engzang nge kan nei khuila ya ngen tiang chi te khatiang chi te kha kan chin sia the ni tin chuba ka chuanin khuila ya nge kan khotlang khanin thil tha kan thil hlut zong kan nei khuila ya nge khuila hmuna nge nam dang hetiang chi ho te an hemi nam mi khoila yang en tiang chi te ka tiang kan chin sia na tur te khani ta ni adot le chen matrix ranking o apoi mo dan in dot te ti ma sak tur dan in dot te ka tiang kha ranking apek thei da chu hemi dana hianin the method a technique za iron poi mo tak kinoma a soya han soi mai hina fia lem lowa practical han ti practical ti chi te kha ni ani lo chuanin soi mai chu kan soi fia zo seng lo mai the ni le next seasonality diagramming season country classic alo thlenga nipui alo thlenga fur thal alo thleng chin chumi huna chun eng thil nge lo thleng chin agriculture ang zong in lo soi pot tai la thlai chin hun thlai chi tu hun thingphun hun te azar sa tha phun te chin ani tin khang tiang ka hun taka kan lo ti chin chuan kan thlai te kan lo thar chuaka kan thingkung ten a that pha chin ani ama chu hun taka kan ti lo chuan a chiat pha chin khatiang deu che kan season eng ang tenge season te eng ang nge lo thlen hun te kan ngai tu turani chu ani lo chuanin abuai thak to thina himani har satna min siam sak thina ni chutiang chuan engang nge natna lo lan chu hunte monsoon alo ni chun monsoon chan tira te kothalo le luak te lo thina khatiang chi te kha seasonality diagram a chuanin alo thleng thin ho kha a diagram in kan siama a chin chiana an siam thina ni chu seasonality diagram chuanin kinania Venn diagram mangina siam thei boka daily activity chart ni tin kan thilti kha kan chin chia finani ni tin kan thilti khanin athen chu mi pa le mei chia te daily activity chart te siam thenia mi pa in jing dar ahun bil bi te tang kan thilti te chin chiana akhutlang thena turatan khanin poi mo chinani chen casual diagram asan pa poi nakina kan lamhan tang kai turang chi si te casual diagram po siam thea skill inventory thiam te engang mi kan nei mystery engzat nge kan nei kan khotlanga mystery no mem nurse no mem nang ta thiam no mem engene thirde engzat nge ti te khating mi thiam kan nei te chin chiana khani ni seasonal calendar changes during the year how to present information information kan thret theina turatan seasonal calendar na chin miang bok kan seasonal diagram siam thea calendar siam thea a calendar a chen eng tikange lo thlen chin hemi thil lo thlen chin te a thil ti hun te kan chin chiana agriculture ka soi tong khan belhoi chu chumi thla chun kan ching thina chumi ya kan thara chumi huna chun kan ti chuan ahun taka kan ti chuanin kan thar chu kang tiang chi kha ania chun issues har satna lo thleng thin kha ombe boka na china kan soi tong khan climate rainfall te fura chang kan dong chu chewa chang chuna nuam deuh te a that deuh hun te om thin bok ani crop le cash and others thai kan siam thei boka seasonal calendar a kan thai om thai tuna ka soyang khan thai chin hun a thar hun te chuan kan poisa man dan te le thil dang te po livestock ran kan bul dan te le kan ran kan than len dan te kan ran kan sal le kan lei te na kan tho dan te na ma mo dan te na kan thua kan ma mo eng ti khuna nge tha kan ma mo eng ti khuna nge kan ma mo lo deu tiang chi ka tiang chin chian te income generation activities te income generation activities sum tuak na am chi ka tiang chi te ka ania chen marketing and human disease oh natna lo lang chuak thin ang chi te kang tiang chi te pokha seasonal calendar kan ta te be kani chon social events in nei hun te mizowa tonin a fran pain kan nei em lo wa mar zo thaser kan nei ya ka tiang khanin hindu community ang chi ate chuanin in nei hun de big te om thina ka tiang kan festival ang chi te seasonal calendar a ke mani na ni tin in lo thin an ni emo hon lo ram nei thin ni emo ka tiang an po khani se festival ang chi te ka tiang hun kan nei hun ang chi calendar ka thata kan sin chi chuan akar la ka enge kan tho chu thei hemi kara hian min ti boilo enge kan ti thei ti kha achut thei chin ani chu seasonal calendar chuanin poi mo takin alo record ani ta kan record thei ni income and expenditure kan thil lak lu kan sum lak lu le kan man chua chin chiana hei hi kan soi zau deulek duwa khosang sanga PRA nein kan kalla ngeni kan malak na turte malak na thar turang chi ate akwa zirna kan hanneya mizo community ate chakma unaute hinkating community ate po kan hanneya income le expenditure examination aka kan hanneya ni tools kan manga table mangin an mani exercise kan nei tira engzat ngin lak lu kha kan shiat man engzat ngin man chu kan tichina ni chung ko pa ngai kan man tlang pui chu ko pui chu nga te lo ngai to taila gesa thakata engzat ngin man tel thakata engzat ngin leitlang pui an lopon kar khata engtingin leichin ration engzat ngin lak thin ti te kanan chut char kuwa engzat ngin ei thin ni khata kuwa man engzat nge chuan tuibur tui zial zum thin mi ten lo om ta zial engzat ngin juk thin chung chu in leim khang zong kha engzat nge ti kha kan han chu ta chuan en tinan anan chung ko pakhat pon chen sang re chang ko ten ti engzat nge thakata in lak lu kan han ti thakata kan lak lu chu sang ni te sang thum te kan la lut vak lo ti maro chu lak lu nei lo kan tam tak khan lo mangani ani le in ba mu mi ti chuan then ka chuan an babik chuang me lo chumi taka chuan an ma ni kan target khuami te chiang taka kan hriat le zual tu chuan an ma ni kan hriat tir po apoi moni an ma ni an lo in thre chiang lo ve fo thin an man chu tam tak soi tur an ne lak lu soi tur an nei lo ani ten kat chu amana volei ni kher lo te po an lo lak lu te po om ve thawa amara chu an sum ren chem dan tur le an in an man chua ti tlem thei tur chuanin an man dan khan hriat angai chumi man dan hre tur chuanin hemi seasonal calendar te hi apoi mo mema PRA dan manga no pang ngene no pang kan ti thalai te mo nu le pa te po kan target ko mi te voti pui kha apoi mo mema ni ti kha ka soitel duwa nakin social worker zirlai te social worker kan nitlang pui noma akhua mi ten en pot exercise an nei ho khanin nuaman ti me ma thuk soi han ngai tha pir ngor kha nuaman ti vak klem thin lo mut thuk le ti kha om du thin ni thati exercise kan han nei khanin an mani pon ti ang hi kalo mangani mo he ti ang zata hian la hian ka in ren de wanga ni hi ka income hi he ti ang hi ni chun he zat kha ti chun zati ka khol thei don ani an ti hei ba ka hian leaky bucket analysis te kan nei china ingzat nge lo lu ta ingzat ange chambanga kan ti kha kan han zir chianga chu chuanin kan target mi puite na satakin interest pe an mani na satakin anin zir vele chongani eng tiagin nge hi ka expenditure hi ka ti tlem theng eng tiagin nge ni income hi lok jok thei tura ka tiang ti kha ngai tu thina ni how to prepare seasonal calendar hi chu chart paper kan lacho ka nga kaka ania kat soivek lo mga use big size graph paper and draw 12 to 18 calendar or sit on the ground and make lines. Ask any alternative methods, local materials. Local material calendar chiate tin te po man tang kai zel nga ni calendar luin lo ne paper lian tak kan duang khan nei ve kherlo mai te kan training na chart paper kan nei khan nei ve kherlo mai te ni pon calendar lui nung lama te khating te khan kan ti thina ni khating ati kha apoi mo me ma try me ma an mani na an lo en let ve le na turata pon ask any alternative method, local materials. Kan material ma mo ang khan lo nei lo pon local materials local available kha kan ngai tu pui combine all the seasonal patterns into one diagram, cross-check and defines the seasonal calendar. Seasonal calendar akan kan siya mga abiela siemte diagram siemte tisang sangin ati dan turo ma ngeni paper kan rin nga hechu soibek teponilo. Tuan social events, seasonal disease, malaria, dengue, etc. Heng te po hi ke mania lo luar veni malaria te luar me pamizor ma chuan malaria hi kan kalna le kan han tia natna chungchang kan han jira po an shiat larber polania dengue te po helaya kan sheve chana henglai te po tam tak atuar anom veni apai de muna ang chiate chuan seasonal disease seasonal la lo thleng chinom tani china kan soyan kan monsoon lo thleng monsoon tan tira te kothalo te mun teng kata chun kothalo lo lang thina ni tin malaria te po lo lang chuk thina alo omdu thina ni enge ni chan zong zong kan traffic lo wa hygienity lampanga te an kan la niam deuh thin bang te po ni mana chung tianga chu kan kan ngai tua khamia kha kan calendar akan kan chin che poi mo ni occupational disease te po the ni henglai te po vairam jok te mun danga te chon tam ta ko mani rong noi tu ang chi te amod ni tin khutaka na thok thin ang chi lungkat tin ang chi te po khan engene occupational disease lang chup lampang har sat na te thok na har sat na te tiang te po ko om thin ani khang tiang te po kha engene history kan thre ta kha tiang thre ta tur tan chonin poi mo ta kani maternal death industrial accidents te migration te export import crops exams ang te po kha seasonal calendar akhanin ti lan thei khatiang kha chin sia thei ani variety of mapping apo khan til chi rang rang om chen khat ami thiam deuh le engene hei hi science anga ni chialo na chan chu til mi thiam jok ten hetiang hin rem chang ani hetiang jok ken ti la rem chang ani ti kan an mu chu bel zela chu tangkai tur ani chuanin atangkai dan turin community ateng khan kan mang chuak zel ani variety of maps ten khat chuanin sang tak le ka thiam sang tak ka chuanin ten khat chuan apoimo lememmi atangkai lememmi te po on ti mai thin ani amai ro chu atangkai dana chuanin ke manin information chiang ka kan share ba ka chin ka soyan khanin kan target mi puiten an mani ka chiang takanin shiat lo chuan mason na om thei turin mason na thokho thei turin chiang takan shiat lo chuanin omzia anei tok thin lo ani dokan chunga tangin emo platform sang takatangal vosoi mai kha tok thin lo wa vosoi mai ba ka khan ti lana ke manin kan shiata angai thatu tele kan target ate khanin an lo shiata an manin an lo fil be kha pui mo thin ani chuwang chuanin mapping te poitil poi mo ta kania social mapping oma rachina kan sei thuk to resource mapping te po mapping a chuanin map kan siama milim kan siama chuta chuan engthil tenge ni asset mapping te historical mapping te engtiangin nge ni mishing engang me nge ni helaya engang mi nge ni ti te engang mi thiam nge ni khoi huna hian nge akhuwa kha kan mit thanga paper kan siamanga a map kan siamanga he lai tlak deng a in thum na hi chu entina puthua mateina ni puthua mateina hian nurse pakhata hemi changa in nga na hianin pithiam dang le kathiam tak pipe nge ni tùy công xiêm thiếm tak he lại hiền thai chi thar chok tam tak thai chi nei tu thai chi ngã tak kan mà mồ hôn kan deal về một kan lấy tu rang chi te khang tiang te thil chi sang sang kha ngai tu ngai ni in he lại hiền bia kin oma bia kin ngai poi mo he lại hiền school oma he lại hiền in dispensary PHC tiang chi te khát tiang te kha khua kan shit na tu ra tan le khua juk shit mấy bà cả khăn ang tenge ni man trăng kai te tu rang chi ti te kan shit na tu ra tan apoi mo hle ni in historical mapping te po man lai tanga thil thleng te alo lo chho zela thil lo thleng chowa kan shit na tu ra tan apoi mo em ma chu chu na kina ma kan lak na tu ra tan information min pe tu thatak le poi mo taka achang thina ni enge ni khua thil kha kan shit lo chen kan malak na tu ra vô mu top vocal top kan zia nei tin lo ni chuan ask for a previous map if any, select any topic: demography, social, residential, occupation, stratification, field land use, water literacy, natural. Mapping lo ti to sa map lo nei to sa ko mai the ni wo kan volu tur ma kan volak na turang chi ate khatiang lom to sa ni chon khami base ba ka kan thil thar belom mai the ni chumi alom to sa kha anu kan thil information khatiang atanga exercise kan nei information ke mani kan share na tur vo khai khin na tur le a thil dik share na tur tan thil poi mo tak ani bokani laya hianin milim map community asset mapping pakhat karon da eng asset nge hemi khuwa hen an ne ke mani khuwa chu kan set tlang pui de mai the ni mar chu khu ya da chen shiat vek po har sang mi group a kan thena amo tieng khani kan community te kan han ti puya hi Bangladesh lekhar kwami Bangladesh thingtlang anti karanda chuania heti gen keni pon thingtlang kho sang kan tia e heta hianin han en bangwang taila in umakha ain dot dan te heti khan siam ta ne adot le achun hei hilok engang nge ni tlang pong te ang chi omang chi te khoilai huna nge te tin kalkong thau mem hilai hian kalkong siam ka kan lo du top ta kong siam mi kan lo ni pon kong siam tu pol kan lo ni pon eng tiangin nge kong sa ti se tur chuanin vokalan darkar khata kan kalchuak vek thailo mai the amaro chumi pui kan ko khoma tangin tiang khan mapping kan han pia khoila ya nge kong eng tiangin nge dan zong ka jeepable road jeep kal theina te truck kal theina te amo khateng ko kha olsam takin a hriat thei ta ne chuan chu ba ka chuanin tui chun chua te khoila nge tui khuro khoila ya nge ni sa ko mun na khoila ya nge ni tui chun chuam khoila ya nge biak in ti te hriat theina tur olsam tak alo ni ta ni hi thilpoi mo takania kan vo hriat du le kan vo zir chian du mun te kan hriat tur ta thilpoi mo takani it's Causal diagram or impacts diagram. It is useful to find out the interlinks between events and trace the cumulative results. Hey mizote ko hian han soi tai la mizote hi zu muam ti tam tak kan omani fisel na lampanga te ma kan la ve thina ko tingtlang ko te zirtir na te kan ne ya til thalo le an mani ta na thatur te kan zirtir thina ni an shiat an entinan me zumi point tam tak a thalawani ti an soi te chon lo hre to thin mai the ya an mani a chiang le zuala hriat tir theina turin an mani a ngai tuana phim tak mang thei tura an lo ril ro lo man theina tura tan eng khanin engeni exercise kanan neya an mani tenen tiang chorin diagram te siamin kan zir ho thina ni kam zir ho na kha apoimo emema casual diagram or impact diagram engeni until ti thina a ngong te khating chin chia na ka ania he ta hianin mezial zu kan handa mezial zu kan handa mezial zu chonin ngong tam ta kan yani ang ngong le kho ngati mezial zu mi lo om ta engati nge azu eng tia enge azu na chan chu chonin enge ni a ngong ti kha khatiang te kha kan lo thina kan zir ho thina chu chu voin ni apo hei lion kan share ve du chu mezial zu chonin anzuk chan kha omani then khat chu peer group pressure an thiante le khatiang khom hoina an lo ti atanga tivero anu masi an lo ti atanga an lo ti ve te kha alo nia chu chu khatiang atang kan no pang tlei rol te training le tiang seminar kan buat saya kan han zo tam tak po zial zumi te khatiang te po kha eng atanga zu ngai ni eng tiang atang ngai zu kan ti tam tak en sai chu an thian za ho win thian te ne an ti atanga tivero min ti atanga ka ti ni tiang chi kha nanom thina ni chu tiang chi chen peer group pressure awangin tren katin zial an lo zuwa tren ka chuan in enge mo vei an lo ne ya ril ruhana ten lo ne ya khatiang an lo khanin zu chakna ti ve chin chakna alom thina tin tren kat chu sikle sa kho vot lu tu ka amo khatiang awang te po khanin lo zu ve te po theya tin anu le pa te zial zumian in chuanin poisak lo na kanu le ka pa te panan zo thil point tu kan ni lowang thil sen the ni thil thalo sen the ni lowang tiang chi te tin lo zuk ve chak shim shim mang chia lo zu ve te khang tin te po kha anom thina ni chung chu a chan tlang pui ania thian te nen ngeni min lo ti moi tu mi pa tan chen mi pa min ti pa tu ni ti te nulabula no ma nulabula nom chunin zial juk wang wang chunin pataria wa in ngai witaria wa in ngai na te kha lo thina ni chu chuanin ngong tam tak ani ta a ngonga chuanin pakhat na chuanin poisa a hlowani a poisa tam tak a hlowa shisel na hlo boka tin chu ba ka chuanin khun na hlo boka chu ba ka chuan a na tho a lo tlan hiama zu isen a lo ngaya that chen na te taksa chauna lo hunga taksa chauna te shom ti na te taksa nuam lo te lo hunga chu chu at na tlangin lo hong thina ni chu chuin ale jong hong tam tak anei le thina ni he chu kan riat sa vek ania ama ro chu social worker tan chen kan target ate chu ka soi tong kan target mi pui da chu kan thria mi khosak sang sa le mi fing sa le mi thiam sa le mi thasa te ni thin lo wangin heng thil ho te ya kan ngai atang hianin bul kan tana ma kan lak kha angai thina ni chu bang chuan hei hi aman ruwa pui mo tak kan target mi pui te eng angin nge ni zil ka lo zuk thin eng ang nge ni lo hum ni ti kan an manin an realize sei na tur tan chuin exercise kan ti pui ka tiang kha hi thil pui mo tak ning ka hria ni next hei hi casual flow diagram intia shisel na lampang chungchang kan jira kan thil ti ania hi serhuan chu khu lam ko thlang lampang kan thil ti na te ania shisel na lampang chungchang a kumru ka tanga kumru chin noi lam no pang te chungchang kan jirna ania thritlang le khosik awanga thi anom lowa thritlang le khosik awanga thi khalai huna khanan omun shia tani lowa ngeni rule lut awanga khatinga thina om shia tani lowa chuan sanga zakwa som riat pasaria mi thi no mani amaro chu engen thi na chana ka khatiang khanan shelem lo ni kun rei tak khatiang te kha kan han tia mishing mi thi engeni thaka wangte engeni malnutrition na wangte a thi no ma changin achang typhoid da wangte pon thi no ma rheumatism te night blindness te cotton kata chun evil spirit engeni ram huai anti don nge khatiang thil tia wanga buai te khatiang har sat na nei te kan an lo lam thina ni trisel na ko ma kan lak dona zirti na kan pek don chun achan chin kan chet ma sak lo chun lo ngai dan kat te an mani na an real ro lo sa chu tiang khatiang chu ni tiang chi te kha thina in he ta an lo thil lo thleng to sa an mani an lo buai na thin har sat na te kha lo the ni chumi an har sat na tak le atul takas mazuk la theitur chuanin an mani na an experience and share te khami tangkhanin kan lo che thei thina ni in hemi hi PRA mangin information tam tak kan koleka heba ka hin secondary data te alo omsa to mai the ni chumi kan check na tura ti dik tu tan po chuan thil pui mo tak aning ka sia chuwang chuanin fisel na lampang ma kan lak don ani puin khatiang kha thil pui mo tak thil tangkai man ro pui mo tak ani bokani male slide an kan ranking or scoring means placing something in order til kan lo ti tira ranking kan siama order a khoi hinge ni a luar ber amo khoi hinge ni andu ber khoi hinge ni athaber khoi ang hian nge ni tila thaberang ti ain do da na khani maya man ropoi mo ta kania pairwise ranking and tinan helps identify the main problems or preference of individual community members engangin nge ni pairwise ranking kan siama engang ni mas malak na turata na masaber temo engang hinge ni andu ber engang hinge ni tangkai ber ti an mani tang kan shet theina turang chi ranking and pek na khani maya the ranking criteria enables the priorities of different individuals to be easily compared useful for sensitive informations ranking kan pek kha information na chen kan sayang khanin khoi nge kan ti masak ber tura mo khoi hinge ni malak na tura ta na poi mo masa niyang ti shet na tura ta na thil tangkai tak ani next leila well-being ranking hi Mizoram chunga mi ni lawa hundanga mi kan lak ania mi hosa kan malak na tura tu te nge ni tu te hinge ni kan target mi pui ni tura kan ngai entinan BPL kan lo tia Mizoram achun BPL family te APL family te nawa tin sarkar na tokte dor kai te kho kan malak na tura te an lo thin kan thopui tura te amai ro chu tu te hinge ni priority kan pek tur kan share thina tur chuanin PRA mangin exercise kan tia PRA tools mangin enge ni an income expenditure income te kan share china chumin huwa chuanin an khosak khung an hausak na te an hausak na hantila an khosak khung ka ranking ka kan pe ga khami mangkan tu te hinge ni malak pui masak ngai tu te hinge ni priority pek ngai ti share na turata na thil pui mo tak ani ni kha helaya khanin table kan huang khanin mi hosan ti khalai khami khan hosan ti khachu rich medium poor and very poor ti nan anan chen sanga mi hosan ti de khachu enough rice for 12 months puya chun khachu ni te don lawani kasom pani chu bu fai e tu ran nei te large amounts of paddy land in the valley again paddy field dan nei te more than 10 to 15 cows and buffaloes and 60 to 50 to 60 poultry elephants or hand tractor enough bullock power khang ti gan nei chen hei chu entin agriculture lampang timi anni ti kha chiang maya khatiang an nei chuan permanent brick house with filled roof four-wheel vehicle rice mill labor unemployed thì ban này lâu chuyên khác các mi hậu sáng ngày ăn lâu ni ta ni en tiên nan khop khata ma la turin kan lo lut don ta ko pakhata ma so na nei thei turin project kan nei ya ma kan lo la don ta kami khanin kan malak na turata na priority kan pek ma sak ber tur te chu an ni lo mai theni kan target kan beneficiary select na turata na pu thil pui mo tak turan ing ka ria hen ke gi khatiang ani chen he ta noi hunga changa kan lak ma sak kha pui mo mai theni amas thasom pani ei nei te amio san ti lai khan kathum chau nei te khachu ngani mi har sa jok te mi thei jok ka te chiaran lo ni entina na ei kung bi ka raisa lo sei taila taria ta changa thasom pani ei an nei chonin media man ni e dia kathum changa tharuk nei te khachu ei nei te khachu ne mi har sa an ngai ani khatiang khanin a tools poi mo tak kan man tur nakina kan lo ma kan lak na tur khuwa ta na ti khuwa and well being an mani economic situation economic din mun kan share tur ta na po thil poi mo tak ani adot le kan kan no pairwise matrix favorite pastime yeah engeni kan hun hei po kan hun man na khanin engeni hun all kan man dan TV thil thin kan ni nge reading thin kan ni nge sleeping thin kan ni nge music nge sport nge kan ti thin kami shiat na khani mai ta he chuan TV alo wen thin te pon tun la chon TV te pon to lo mai te ni mobile phone kan tin te po kan ni mai te ni he ta kan han ti tira exercise kan han ti tira TV lo en thin ka exam niam TV ka hemi hun ola kam hong thin ka hun ola chunin lekha ka chiar thin ti te akhuwa mi pui kan shiat theina turatan engangen hun olan man dan kan shiat theina turatana ti khania TV en thin ascore kha TV en thin chu 3 score areng ka chen b asang berchu ngeni music night hathin ka music night hathin ka nin pali nama ing khatiza ta tan khanin anamani kha an mani record ve na turatan man rot ngeni nan chanchin shiat na tan thil changkai tak pui mo takani andut overall preference for method of FP family planning kha kha chu apoi mo lutuk lo mai theya thena chuan apoi mo view mai theya kha kha kan nun tar chu ka tikhan engeni arin tla kan tiem atam to kan tiem man also man tiem ti te khating kan shena turatan khan ania chuan he laya noya khan engeni insiam na te mi pa insiam le mei che insiam chungchang te khat mi kan shia theina tur ka ani adot le kan le treatment sequence matrix tingklang ti chuanin hey ka ui thak injit thak te lo le huana na thok thin mi te tianga te pokhan tam takanom pho thin ani tin khang tiang ho te luna te vun lampang nat na te pumna te chen mit lampang te engeni shi sang ka tiang chi ho te thin lian te ka tiang chi kha a hluar view thina ni natna lang thina kha an mani hovin kan han thira eng tenge ni lo lang thin chung chu ain dotin ti kan an triet kan han ti chu ka chuana da chen chung ho chu khoya tangin nge ni enkol na an nei athen khatte chu ina an mani in enkol te an ile pu te tanga enkol nan shiat dan ang alo in enkol lang chi te adot le chunin engeni damdoi dor elom chuan damdoi dor mi damdoi te mani thu lo le to ve to pang chi te an lu na chuan na chok na an bunat englo chuan chu teng chuan private hospital ange government hospital ange khoyange engeni trong trai dam thei ten lo pana trong trai na mangin an lo dam thin nge ni traditional methods tingklanga chuanin pakhat kan lo sei nga kho pakhat kan mani experience atain kho pakhata clinic kan ne ya clinic center kan ne kan clinic center a yanin abul kan tan na chu malaria bangania malaria tamna mun na ni wangin malaria dam doite tiang khan kan da mithiam training kan pe ya chu chunin malaria ni le ni lo exam thia khatiang khanin huna manga tangka taka man line atam zok churin khatiang kha dam doi 18 du lo wa thisen la ka thisen exam te kan du lo ni traditional method ang khanin an tia an mani shiat da nangin ti mai tiang an mani man lai tanga lo tiang thin ka burchi aten tisa a burchi aten nora tikhanin khatiang khanin adam thein te ni khatiang ang te kha an lo lom thina engeni thil poi ber ani em chu ka shelawa thil thaber ani em chu ka shelawa eng ang mi nge lo la om eng angin nge an ti dam thin an nat na an lo nei an ti dam thin ka en tinan hei thak dam doi ni hei malaria dam doi ni iro company sim chu thar ber ani zukti ngot khanin anil ru kan ne kerlo mai the ni chu bang chunin khatiang he thei tur chun an thil ti thin ate an man ro lo man thin ate an en ti thin na te ka kan chiat chiana kami manga kan ti kha
We're so sorry, our research person's network is factual. So I think we'll need to wait for a little time for his network to be a bit better. I think he logged out from his Zoom. Yeah. Okay. Hi, sir. Your network has gone out. So, sir, can you please start from the ones that you have logged out from the slide that you have logged out, because your network was not good, no? Yeah, that's one. Yeah, from here. Okay, sir. So can you please start your your explanation from this slide again?
tikhan ka zo we
Thank you so much, Sir Marin. It was an excellent information session. We will have a question set Q&A session. So for Sir Lauren Oma, we have got 4 questions. So I'll be asking the questions. Please, if you can give us the answer. The first one is, what can be the problem faced by community workers while conducting PRA in the field of study?
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Yeah, being a social worker, we find it many problems when we do a PRA in the village. Yeah, as I've told you that we have to create atmosphere. First, we have to create atmosphere. Sometimes the social workers do not create a good atmospheres that the community is freely open themselves. This is one of the problem from the from the social workers. sometimes, yeah, it is very difficult to create atmospheres. Let me say the village level. Some politicians, let's say village council members, if village council members are present, the village council members are political leaders. Some of them are political leaders. And if the other audience are not from their political party, there is a class in between them. So if the situation is like that for the social worker, it is very difficult to create a good atmosphere to speak to let the audience speaks and to get the good information, to get the genuine informations in between. Sometimes they hide something. So they care about, the audience care about the village council leaders. They don't want to express what's their thoughts because of the village council members. What I mean to say is that VC member te mo VC te kating anlo omve khanin khuami te khanin engemo an khomason na tur ang kan han ngai tu don kan soidona khanin soi she chin le soidu lo chin kha an nei chinani achan chu tun midang vo he ka mo midang that lo na tur vo ngai tu mo khating khan an ngai thina chu tiang chu kan li chin pakhat chu nia chun zo tongin ka soi nga chuan thenkhat information kan nei da hian information alo in ang lo thinani information in ang lo an hriat dan in ang lo om thin khanin khoi ber hinge dikang ti hriat kha har tina thenkhat na china ka soeng kan mi hring hi kanin ang lo thenkhat strong du ve deuh le mi puijinga thil lo soi nuam ti deuh chian lo ma thenkhat chu lo in kil toi deuh chin ma a in kil toi lo zo a soi thin participate na sa khanin a hriat na kha adik lowa eng lo chunin vo hnial le vo eng lo kha an du lo thina ni nuam man ti lo chen khat yang kha information dik lo lak all thina chu kan har sat na ni amar chu asut kian dan chu oma asut kian dan ti mai tiang PRA mangin an zawa in kan participate kira asoi chu kher lawa tools le khatiang manga kan ti khanin information dik kan nei thei thina ni am chu kan problem kan nei sin tlang pui pakhat chu ni. Am I answer the question?
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So there are another 3 questions, and the second one is, what is open-ended question? What is open-ended question?
Open-ended question is no. Let me say Mizo again. Open-ended question dan kitchen zo na kan sanga zo na kan posiama zo na kan siamin. Olsam takin kan soyanga if he men kam huna mitiem ti chuanin o tie amuna malom arsa hi tui tiem o tie ato chia tani chu tiang ni loin arsa tui if he men a khanin engting ani thil hunom ti tenamo engeni thil hunom lo ti ni chuanin open ended question adot le lo soitur answer pek tur thui omaka kaka open ended question so ni tani ani mai tani information kan collect don in open ended question ni apoimo ma mitiam ten an soi fo thina loaded question engani close ended question kan pek chuan o ai ti khana to bringot mai ni o ai ti ringot lowa information dang kan share theina tura ta na zona kan siamaka alo ni tani engani tingtlang ilo ma natnak health lama ma ilo la don ta health maso na tur sel na lam panga maso na turin ma ilo la don ta interview ni ya zona isiama in khuwa hianin malaria hi ami natlang lon ber malaria hi tamberem ti kachuanin o tamber ya malaria in engtenge hong in ko natna tamberin enge hong ti kachuanin zona thui zona ka answer thui tak tam tak kadong donani chu open-ended question chu nia dot le zona mo dot le soi hong tur kal thei turanga zona siam ka ani mai.
And the third question is, how will we mobilize the community people, especially during this pandemic as we are about to conduct PRA?
Okay. Yeah. Budang huna PRA ti tu chon ngai tu ngun chu ngai viau bin karinga PRA mga hatiang organize tur chuanin program organize tur chuanin aboi thak viau bin karinga tu na nga chena mai ro chu sarkar ko in mi pui pung khom thei chin za tang te soya khatiang kan ti dona ni chen kan ko khom dona mi pui kan community kan mobilize dona ni pon below 50 ngai ta ne number khanin somnga noi lam pangkha theita tam lovin kan ko khom thea chu tiang ani chuan representative of the family amo representatives of one representative from 5 families ang chi ten amo ti te pokhan ko taila chu tiang chen kan thil ti thei ang chi ka chu tam tak kan ti thei thawin ari noma amuna vokala mi pui tenena tam tham du ka khan tia in like chin ka ti ka chu hilhar satak po ani in karing in chuba ka chuanin an mani in thewa hilan ngai dan an lo tilan na turang chi te khatiang tools pen khate po kha ati thei dan chin chu om thawang ani lo chuanin tun ma kan lo ko kho mang kha chuanin hil ti chu har de mana ta chang.
Okay, and the last question is, what is the difference between methods and techniques? What is the difference between methods and techniques?
Methods le technique danglam na han sei pi tu chuin technique a method ani ka chun dan phung azom tura athil ti ka ani mai ka sia technique sani ka chuanin khamiata na aman ruwa chi sang akha ani mai tura ka ngai. That's according to my understanding.
Okay. We thank you so much, Sir, Mr. Lerin Omar, and the presentation that you have given to us is really relevant, and we are very grateful for the explanation and for the presentation that you have given and for the time that you have spared for us. So now it's time for our next speaker, Professor Lelni Loma. His session will cover scope and prospect of PRA in planning and implementation of project. So we welcome Sir Niloma.
Yes, thank you very much, Tepui, for the short and sweet introduction. I say it's sweet because when it is short, it is sweet. So, you know, sometimes in the introduction, like somebody is given around half an hour talk, then for the introduction part, they take 15 minutes. So no much time is left for, you know, the actual presentation. So that's it. Thank you very much for the introduction. And thank you, the team from Hatim College, for organizing this such a kind of important webinar. And I think this will be relevant, and especially for this period of COVID-19, where we are experiencing pandemic. I think this is a very nice field, and it is a really interesting topic. And thank you for inviting me to be one of the resource person here. And you know, Hatim, it's not new for me, because I was there in the academic council of the university when it was proposed to be started, you know, and I was there in the academic council of Mizoram University when the proposal for this BSW also came up. So I was there, and I was so happy that this college was the one who started BSW, the first college in Mizoram who started BSW. So I think now the department is growing well, and we have some, like many alumni, and also I think we will grow as the Department of Social Work. And I thank Madam Tebui also, P. Sila Remkluangi, who has come up and inviting me for the program. And I also would like to thank Sarzela, who is the technical man over there. Since yesterday, we were having the trial run of the webinar. So he was assisting here, there. So without any problem, so we can just start today. And now we are running it very well. Thank you, Sarzela. And I would like to thank the principal of the college also for his short and sweet inaugural speech also. Then, yeah, I would like to thank Pumarina also, who is from R&D. Actually, R&D is also not so new to me, because when Pudonga was there, we were, very close. We used to have some programs together. So, but then Purinoma Pumarina is new to me. So it's very nice to meet him now, today, at least as a resource person. Here, I would take this webinar as a blessing in disguise, because, if I had to go to Lunglei, for sure, at this point of time, I'm not able to go with my other responsibility. But since it is a webinar thing, there is no problem. We can just sit down here at home, and we can just start talking, and everyone hears it, right? So this is a blessing, really, indeed, a blessing in disguise. Yeah, as you are hearing me, you see my English is really Mizopa English, right? My pronunciation might not be that good, but then I'm a Mizo. So there are different types of English. American English is there, then British English is there, right? And Mizo English is there. So my English will be Mizo English. So I hope you bear with me, but I will try my best to make you all understand. Okay, then here again, on behalf of the organizers and the host of the webinar, I would like to welcome all of you again, all the participants again, on board to the journey of another webinar session of this webinar. So the topic which was given to me was scope and prospects of PRA in planning and implementation of projects. When we talk of PRA, we cannot have so many, how do we solve so many fields of our presentation, since our topic is PRA, webinar on a participatory rural appraisal. My presentations, the way I prepared is also similar to what Ms. Tebui, Madame Tebui talked about. She has highlighted the definition of PRA, and mostly the techniques, or there was a question, right? What is the difference between methodology and methods and techniques? It's just a matter of using the term. You can say it methods. You can even say it technique, right? So whatever techniques or methods presented by Sir Marina also covered most of my presentation. But then we will see how we could apply those techniques, PRA techniques or PRA methods, in the planning and implementation of projects. So mine will be, though my presentation will cover the same thing with what Sir Marina has presented, mine will be geared towards the application part. How can we make use of these presentations the techniques in planning and implementation. Right? So, to be sincere, I have to tell you that I have taken about 3 days in preparing my slides. I have my presentation, I made my previous presentation with me, but then for this particular webinar, I have prepared myself to the best I could. So it took me quite some time collecting new materials, because I knew that since there will be 2 presenters, 2 resource persons, one will present the whole techniques of PRA. If I cover the same thing, then that may give us, that may not give us the whole picture of, I mean, like the purpose of the webinar may not be fulfilled. So I tried my best to prepare myself in such a way that whatever PRA techniques is there, how can we apply to the planning and implementation of projects. Okay, so in my presentation, I will mix Mizo also a little bit, but then I came to learn that there are also the non-Mizo participants. So from other states also, it seems that you all are joining. So we are very happy to have you here. So anyway, we will start with the presentation. Okay, so here, when we talk about PRA, as I said, Madam Deboi also mentioned about in her keynote address, what is the meaning of PRA, right? But then just to see, just to review again, because we need to review again and again so that we will register in our minds. Okay, when we say PRA, then let's see. The first thing which comes to our mind is rural. PRA itself is participatory rural appraisal, right? So rural, the main focus is rural here, right? The main focus here is rural. Why? Because this PRA itself is developed from those agencies, development workers, development institution. They have come up with this PRA technique based on the rural experience. Okay, that's why we call it PRA, rural. So when we say rural, what comes into our mind compared to the urban areas? The rural, you can see forest surrounding, right? Then you can see there are some humans or farms, right? Then you can see there are, okay, like internal link road, village internal roads, which are not that good. Then you can see school buildings which are also deliberating, almost fallen down. So they are not in good shape, right? And you see, when you talk about rural, you see community are still close, not like in urban area. Here in our urban area, like in Aizol, we don't talk to our neighbors. You know, that distance is there. It's not that we are hating each other, but we are going for our work and come back in the evening. Then they also go for their work, come back in the day. But the social closeness, cohesiveness is more there in rural. So with that, but then when we say PRA, though the term is pointing us to rural area, we can still use it for urban also as well, right? Both for literate and illiterate. Okay, so these are there. Then here, another point. Yeah, appraisal. Sir Marina has pointed it out very clearly. What do we mean by appraiser? We know self-appraiser. You are appraising yourself, right? Your condition. You are appraising yourself, your condition. All right. So here, finding out of information about problems, right? The needs and potentials in a village. So when we talk about PRA, what we look into is a village situation in terms of their problems, in terms of their needs, in terms of the potential which the villagers have. And actually, when we talk about PRA, it is the first stage of any project. Okay, we'll cover a little bit on that. This is the first stage of any project planning and implementation. Okay, then participatory. When we say participatory, whose participation is called for? Right? Whose participation is most important here? People are involved in the process. A bottom-up approach requires good communication, skills, and attitude of project staff. Right? When we say bottom-up approach, it's the opposite of top-down, right? We have top-down. This approach is there, which has been used for many years, even in India. Okay. Top-down approach is that you plan something for the development of a particular village or rural area without the knowledge of those community residents. Right. So when I was in the state government, you know, it's rather easy to have a top-down planning. You know, when I was in the state government in rural development department, in the directorate as a rural planning officer, I was given a nice table with a revolving chair, you know, with those facilities I enjoyed. And in the table itself, I was preparing the plan for some schemes without even consulting the rural people. Why our projects are failing? It is because one of the main reasons is because it is always done in a manner of top-down planning. But when we talk about PRA, it is about bottom-up. You try to find out the problem of the community from the community themselves, right? Not assuming that assuming that, oh, they have this problem, so we will plan for them this project. It's not that way. So PRA, whenever PRA comes into picture, our vision, our thinking is always bottom up. Okay, so this is it. Then what is PRA? Ms. Teboy also mentioned about the PRA already here. But I will point out again, just to review, you know, our knowledge, to enrich again. The basic concept of PRA is to learn from rural people. I think Sir Marina also has pointed it out very clearly, right? To learn from rural people. How come? You are a graduate of MSW, Master of Social Work. And I'm a graduate of PhD in Rural Development, right? Why should you learn from the rural people? Because you know better than them. But in ground realities, there are so many things you have to learn from the rural people. Okay, So the basic concept of PRA is to learn from rural people. It is based on the principles that local people are creative and capable and can do their own investigations, analysis, and planning, right? In our usual research, let's say, in our usual research traditional approach, I would say it's traditional approach because it's really traditional. We do the investigation, right? We do the investigation. We just go to the community, we collect the data, then we come back. Then we come back with the data. Then we analyzed using computer software, SPSS, right? We use Excel or any other Statistica or whatever statistic tools we have, we analyzed. But here in PRA, we do the investigation with the community, their own investigation. So that means we have to see the rural people that they have the capability to do their own investigation, but maybe with a little facilitation from outsiders like you and me. Okay, that is there. Then here, it's not only investigating. You bring the data back to your institution and you analyze. But here we have to use the rural people, the community residents, to analyze their own data, right? Then many development agencies, they come back with all the information and analyzed there, and they plan for the rural because they think, okay, this is the data from the community. So we have enough data. So we will plan for them. But here we are still talking about planning with the community or by the community itself. So that's what we see PRA is. Okay, another thing is here, the aim of PRA is to help strengthen the capacity of villages to plan, make decision. Anyway, it's similar to the first point. We will not cover much on this. Sarmarina also has pointed out this already. Okay, then here Chambers, Robert Chambers, when you talk about PRA, you cannot leave him. You cannot leave him. Robert Chambers is the main authority. And though I did not see him yet, you know, I referred so many of his books and materials on PRA. I can say we can say he is the father of PRA. He belongs to Institute of Development Studies, IDS, which is in UK. He used to come to India, work with the rural people and try to formalize, to institutionalize this PRA technique. So what he said, let's see. He has defined PRA as an approach and methods for learning about rural life and conditions from the rural life and condition. We learn from whom? From the rural people themselves. Then as above, we can see analyzing with them or analyzing by them. Then based on the analysis, we plan, or they plan by, it's planned by them or plan with them. Then we draw action and we implement, we take action, right? So that is there. Then here PRA is intended to enable local communities to conduct their own analysis. Anyway, similar definition, we will not cover all those, right? To make it fast. Then PRA involves project staff learning together with villagers about the village. This is very important. This is the main thing of it. We talk about, okay, bottom-up planning. PRA involves the project staffs, the development workers. Learning what? Learning together with villagers about the village. Okay, here it is a participatory of the project staffs, the villagers, right? But here most of the work will be done by the community. As a project staff, you are a facilitator, right? You are not the one who is to do the whole thing, everything. So you have to do the facilitating part. You know, last time when I was a member of NLUP, this evaluation team, you know, we call all the department heads coming together. Then when we interacted with them, I could see like everything is done by the department officials. I said, if you really want to have the benefit of the program to the rural areas, the rural people, you should not be implementing the whole thing for them. You should be facilitators. So that's how we look at it. So that is it. Then another one is the methodology. Okay, the methodology. Let's see what is the methodology we see in the PRA. The precept is some kind of a formal like form of regulations, right? In Mizo, we can say it's done. Then how do we show it? The indicating part. We'll see one by one, and maybe it will cover a little bit of what Sir Marina also presented, right? The precept number one: introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Rapport building. We talk about rapport building here. Without rapport building, you cannot really do community work, right? There was a question, right, to Sir Marina also. What was the problem? What is the problem in working with the community? This rapport building is the first step. It's very important. Introduce yourself. That means you have to go to the village leaders, community, then introduce yourself. Okay, that's how. Then what is there? When you introduce yourself, people should see that you are honest and you are really transparent. And you are relating them as a person, right? Usually, when a government official or development officials, you know, when they go to the rural areas, they always take along with them their titles, their designation, their position, right? They see the rural people down there as rural people, and they keep themselves as up in the higher level, right? So we have to relate to them as person. What does it mean? You have to respect their culture. You have to respect their household position, you know, not overruling them. That's it. So the methodology, the first methodology is when you go to the field, you see, introduce yourself, rapport building. One experience, you know, I was in one interview recruiting teachers for a school. Recruiting teachers for a school, you know, there were some English, masters in English, MA English graduates. I asked them, what is the spelling of rapport? Most of them could not give me the answer. Because rapport, maybe they are not aware of it. But social work students, rural development, community development students, we are familiar with rapport building, right? So the first thing is you have to really build rapport. All right, then they can do it. The principles Sir Marina has pointed out also, they can do it. We have to have something in mind that the rural people can do it. We have to really shift our, we have to really shift the paradigm of our thinking. That they're rural people, they don't know anything, right? But here we have to see them that they can do it. That is the rule, right? Then have confidence in people's ability. So you have to have confidence in people's ability. You know, there was one reading which I came across. one village in Nepal. It seems that even till today, at the age of this IT, so many developments are going on. They are not accessible till today, seems. But then, okay, they did not see maybe car or bus moving around because their place is not accessible at all. But the question there is, how could they survive without this technology? How so many years, hundreds of years, they have been surviving without any technology intervention. That means they know how to survive, right? They know how to survive. So here also, regardless of being illiterate or literate or whatever, they can do something, right? So we have to have confidence on them. Then unlearn. As I said, you may be a graduate of, you may be PhD holder in social work. You may be PhD holder in rural development, public administration, economics. You have to unlearn. When you go for PRA, you are trying to learn something from the community. So you have to unlearn. Critically reflection on how you see things, right? How you see things. If there is something to change, you change. That's how you unlearn it. Ask them. The principles Sir Marina has pointed out, but I put it this way. Ask them. Don't tell them all the things you know. All those good theories, it's not useful for them. But you ask them what they know. Ask people their realities, priorities, and their advice. That means you don't give advice to them. You ask them what is their realities, the condition, the appraisal is there, right? Then ask them the priorities. What is their priority? Then ask them about their advice. Okay, if this is your situation, then you have this problem. So out of this problem, what might be your priority? That's how we do the planning, right? What is your priority over here? Okay, priority number 1 is this. Priority number 2 is this. Then, okay, then do you have any advice? Can you give us any advice so that we can solve this priority number 1, priority number 2? That's how we do the planning. Don't rush. PRA exercise is not a matter of 1 or 2 days work. Okay. It has to be a little bit long time approach, right? Yeah, Sir Marina might have more experience in it. You cannot do PRA exercise overnight. You have to go to the village, stay with them. So don't rush. You take your own time. Be patient. Take time. Okay, that is there. Then sit down, listen, and learn. Your job is, after you facilitate the whole thing, the meeting, then now it is the time for the community to do the job. So you sit, watch, listen, and learn from them. That's it. Okay. Then here, don't dominate. That is there. It was pointed out by Sir Marina also. Don't dominate. Okay. In PRA, we don't like dominating. Right? So that is there. Even though you are an officer, big officer, don't dominate. That's all. The rules is don't dominate. Don't bring your position, your designation to the community. Otherwise, you will not succeed. Right? Facilitate. I have mentioned about it. Facilitate. Don't lecture or criticize or teach. We teachers tend to do, to dominate, to lecture. So, and to criticize. So let us not do that. Embrace error. Sir Marina also pointed out this embracing error. Here, learn from what goes wrong or does not work. when you do some mistakes in the community work, development work, you should not feel so sad about it. Of course, we have to be sad because it's going a little bit wrong. But then we have to accept it as a stepping stone, as a venue for learning the new way of approach. Okay, embrace error. So, you know, there was a joke. It's not really a joke. It's a say. I mean, people say, if you are cheated by somebody the first time, that is not your mistake. But if you are cheated by the same person the second time around, then that is your fault. Kan khay tiap tiro. Mi pakhatina bum che a avoi khatna a bum the che ni chuan isu ithiam lawani lo. Chuti line kha mi pakhat ngai ve khan avoi ni na a bum che ni chuan ithiam lawani. So we have to embrace error. We learn from what is going on wrong and which does not work. All right, hand over the stick. What does stick mean? Stick kan tiyan zirtir tu tiyan stick hikuta kan keng tiro tiang. What does it mean? When a teacher holds stick in his hand, his or her hand, what does it mean? That is authority, right? That is authority. So when students are making noise, a teacher will be raising one stick in his hand or her hand, then the students will be keeping silent when they see the stick, right? So handing over the stick means you hand over all the authority, the power to the community, right? Anything that empowers. So you are not here as a teacher anymore when you do PRA. You are just a facilitator. So you give all your power to the community, handing over the stick. That's it, right? Use your own best judgment at all times. Sir Marina covered all these points, but then I just prepared it this way so that it may open our minds in another perspective. Okay, take responsibility of what you do. Sometimes we are reluctant to take responsibility for the mistakes we make, right? Til pakat kan lo ti sualta I kami amo kan langam chilok tani. Tiro. Tu emo tiente mo tho pui te mo han blame te kan zong chu ka khani. Amaro chu PRA exercise kan han dia chuan thil kan lo ti suala thutluk na kan lo siam sual pa ani pon hei chu kan ti sual ani ti in embrace error kan dik lo kha kan pom manga amaro chu kha kan dik lo na tang khan ma kan son dan tu kan ngai tu ho le ngai tu ani. That's how I see. All right. So now we go to PRA in various stages of project. PRA hi project atana kan mantang kai don chuan a stage tin hi kan enangai. We have to see various stages of a project cycle if we have to apply PRA techniques. Okay, the first thing is data collection. This is the initial steps. Any project is prepared based on whatever data we have. It may be baseline data, it may be secondary data, primary data, right? In PRA, the first thing we do is we study the situation, the life, the condition of the rural people, right? This is where we collect the data. Then based on collecting the data, based on the data, we come up with chalking out the plan. The planning stage is there, right? Data kan nei to khot lang din hun thing tlang kho khat din hun kan lo hreta kha kho atang khan planning khami data kan ne tang ti kan enge problem an ne khami anil khan planning ruwa man na kan duang do na ni then based on our planning we implement the programs, right, the projects. Then in implementing, the participation will be important again. Here another thing is monitoring and evaluation. After implementing or at the same time while implementing, we have to do the monitoring and the evaluation, right? So it's a cycle, project cycle, where we can apply PRA techniques, right? Underneath in the circle, you will see here also PRA, I just put community participation because it is all about community participation. But the main thing now, what we are talking about our PRA is at the stage of data collection. This is mostly applied in this is where we applied most of the PRA techniques, the data collection. Okay, but then even in the planning, we still used PRA technique because it is like a participatory planning. Okay, but here, based on the data we collected through PRA, we develop a development plan, action plan. Then based on the action plan, we implement. We will see in the later part of the presentation who will do the action plan, who will do what. Those things also we have to chalk out, right? Then in the course of implementation, we have to monitor the progress. That's why when we make mistake, the error is there. Oh, we have to make this corrective. That's why we have to accept the error, right? Then from there, how can we correct this wrong or error thing? So that's how we can see the importance of PRA in various stages of project implementation. All right, here now we go for planning for the village development. Right, now we go for village development, planning for village development. When we are assigned to do the village development project, where do we go? What is the most important thing which comes into our mind? Data, information. Without data and baseline information, you will not be able to plan. If you are able to explain, you are very expert, but then, as I said, this will be a top-down approach, okay, which may not be accepted by the community or which may not be really applicable to the real situation of the community, right? Here you can see, here, imagine you are assigned the task of planning for village development. Where do you begin? Of course, we begin from collecting data. Where do you get started? Right? From the table or from the community? You need the data. Where to collect? You can collect from various sources, secondary data, or you can collect from the field, right? Those things we have to ask ourselves. In order to plan, you need data and information about the village, right? Then you need details of population, household, various occupations, people are involved in, common infrastructure facilities available, such as school, Anganwadi, conditions of drinking water supply, sanitation. So all these things are needed here. The approach, the methods we followed, it's up to us. What kind of approach we will follow if you are given the task of planning for the village development, right? So you need data and information so that you can identify the shortfall, gaps, and plan for fulfilling. It's not fooling. It has to be fulfilling the gaps. Okay, that is there. So this is the importance of data. So the first thing, what we do in the planning for village development is we collect data and information, right? Then here underneath the slide which just pops up, you can see good planning requires good information, and the more a community can understand about the problems it wishes to address, right? Good information is required, but that information, the data, should be in such a way that the community understands it, and this will be really the needs of the community. Okay, here I'll read again. Good planning requires good information, and the more a community can understand about the problems it wishes to address. If it is the real problem which the community wishes to address, the more likely that its solution will be appropriate and feasible. This is important. The most important thing in project planning for village development is whatever plan should be based on the needs of the community, and which should suit the community, which should be appropriate and feasible with the situation, the condition of the community, right? So let us go to the next stage here. Sources of data. Planning for village development continues. Sources of data. We talk about the first thing we need is the data and information, right? But what are the sources of data? How do we get data and information? Who can give data, right? Those things we have to ask ourselves. Then what is our source of data for undertaking the planning exercises? Right, what are the sources now? Let's see. It can be Gram Panchayat office. In our case, since we don't have this PRI, it can be village council. But mostly our VCs don't maintain this proper record of their village also. But in some village, they maintain very well. So this can be a good source of data, right? Then block development office. We have BDO office, right? Where you can see most of our MCS, junior MCS are placed. Block development office, right? So you can get many data which you like there, you like from there. Government web portal. Nowadays, in the technology age, IT age, we have access to all the government web portal on village data. You click, okay, one village nearby Lunglei, you can just say, okay, Vanne, right? You click one Vanne, what is the distance from Aizawl? Then what is the distance from Lunglei? What is the population? You can just get from this government web portal. They may be very good sources of information also. Another source is household survey, which may be the one already collected, or which we can do it just before the project planning, right? A fresh household survey. Alternatively, we can also go for household survey. This is a popular way of collecting grassroots level data, right? This can be like a way of census also, right? We can go census data also. But if we have to go afresh, we have to frame a questionnaire or the information sheets so we can feed it up household data. Then another one, which is what we are talking about today, participatory rural appraisal, right? Participatory rural appraisal. We can also go for PRA approach to learn about situations and condition of rural areas. So we have many options there. Sources of data. We need data for planning. Then what are the sources? Gram Panchayat or village council. Block development office, BDO office, or government web portal, household survey, or through PRA methods. So we can rely on any of these. We're not saying Okay, the records of the data from village council, they are not good. We cannot say that. They are good. And BDO office, they are good, reliable because there is government document, right? But sometimes we have to be careful. These government documents are sometimes manipulated, right? It's manipulated. I've been there, I know. For the purpose of planning and making proposal to the ministry, central government ministry, we have to make some manipulation. We are not blaming for this. We are not blaming anyone. Because suppose agriculture, the rice production for this last year was, let's say, maybe 100 metric tons. Then for this year, we have to cross that production because our budget has to increase, right? So at least we have to manipulate at least just to increase the production of the previous year. We are not blaming this anyone for this. But so I'm not saying that these are bad for sources of data. They are very good sources of data. But then why we are talking about PRA is this. All right, why PRA? We do not know how old is the secondary data available and how updated they are for our purpose. Maybe the data of census 2011 when we were in 2020 already, right? So we can use the data, putting a reference of census 2011. Officially, we are very much allowed to use the data. But then if we want the up-to-date, the most up-to-date data, why don't go for a fresh data from the community itself, right? Though it consumes time and energy and even money. You know, when I was working with the JICA, Japan International Corporation Agency, they are still here in Mizoram. They'll be here for another 2 years. They are having 5 years project. They asked me to help them in the community mobilization and all these things. So, you know, what the team leader of JICA used to say is, you may require more time and more money for the planning, but that will pay. That will pay. Because if you have very good plan with much money spent on it, much time, much energy spent on it, you will get a better result. So if we go for easy way, okay, we can just rely on census 2011. But then if we want a fresh, reliable data, up to date, the real situation, then we go for PRA. What is there? Right? That's it. Secondary data do not anyway provide face-to-face contact with villagers. We have been talking about the top-down planning, right? When you do the top-down planning from the table, you don't need face-to-face contact with the villagers, right? You don't need to have face-to-face contact with the villagers. You are still facing your computer screen only. You are browsing your secondary internet as your secondary sources of data through internet, right? So you just see only, you just face your computer screen. A cat with gloves does not catch mice, right? This saying is there. So the data may be good, but it may not be good as the fresh one. To do village work, you need to get away from computer screen and face the villagers. Why facing villagers is important? We talk about the relationship building, rapport building, right? We talk about teamwork. We talk about trust. So without facing with the villagers, how can we get all these valuable inputs for the success of development, right? So we go for PRA. The concepts of PRA tells you to go to the village, right? There is a credo of rural development, rural reconstruction. Go to the rural people, stay with the rural people, right? Those are there. So we have to go to the rural, away from your comfort zone to have the real development. You have to really go away from your comfort zone. That's it. Go to them, ask them, listen to them, all these things, learn from them, unlearn, relearn. The same thing we have pointed out there. Okay. Here, the problem you identify in this process most likely is going to be the real and the most pressing problems of the villagers.
We are so sorry, dear participants. I think our resource person's network is bad, so he'll be catching up when his network is a little better. So please wait for a moment. Meanwhile, when our resource person's network is bad and we're waiting for him, I would like to ask our dear participants to please drop your questions so that we will be able to ask to the resource person after the lecture. Please drop the questions in the Q&A chat box. And also, I would like to request all the participants to please fill up the feedback form, so that to acquire the certificates. Please fill up the feedback form in order to acquire the certificates. We will drop it in the chat box. We will be dropping it in the chat box. So I request all the participants to please fill up the uh, registration form.
Yes, sorry.
Welcome back, sir. Yeah.
My network just went out, so I'm just using my hotspot data. So, all right, let me just, okay. All right. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Uh, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Screen. Yeah,
Excuse
I
me,
think
excuse me, sir. Your voice is not clear. You're not audible.
the same screen is
Excuse me, sir. You're not audible.
taken with the social yeah. Okay. I don't know. Maybe my mobile data is also not.
Okay, so dear participants, there will be a feedback form in the chat box. You can check it and you can fill it out.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Hello. Is it good now?
Sir, it's audible, but then your voice is like it's cutting the line.
It's cut.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
so.
Anyway, let me just use the another data of my daughter. Oh, so maybe I have to go out for maybe 1 or 2 minutes just to set up. Open it. How long?
Okay, so dear participants, let's just wait for our RP. He'll be back in 2 to 5 minutes.
Uh, Thank you, dear participants. We've got a number of questions in the Q&A box. Please continue to drop your question. Thank you.
TM. Deputy.
Sir, your
Okay,
voice is audible now.
all right. So I hope no more problem will be there. So I will continue. Okay, here the last point I just would like to mention is why we are choosing PRA. we can find out how villagers can participate and contribute also. Because not only identifying their situations, we are here, we can, through PRA, we can find out, because since they are involved from the beginning of identifying data collection itself, we can see how the villagers can participate and contribute. Okay, this is there. Then let's see here just an example of project proposal. Right? Here, picture your one, you will see as specified in. This picture is how it is specified in a project request. That means project proposal. Then the second picture here, you will see this is how the proposal is understood by project sponsor. So let's say the first picture is drawn by project staff. Then they send it to a donor, a sponsor, right? Lela mason apa karena son pipu om ta tiro. Tila mapo pipu thaw ni tani. Anzia le. Heta sponsor la mina allo mudan ka ay anlo. Kan maybe, right? In the list. Okay, the project proposal is there. Then how it is understood by the sponsor is there. Then now we will see how the analyst designed the project. This is how it is designed. The same project, right? Then in picture 4S understood by project staff. Kami senior analyst ina a draw project staff din ting along mule. This is just an example. Okay, it's not that can be there in the process of planning and implementation, right? So here the hichu people do ta people ang ve thau mai through project staff then. But let's see how the contractor see it as installed by the contractor. This is how the proposal is up there, how it is seen by the project sponsor, how it is designed by senior analyst, and how it is understood by project staff. I think this is very good, right? Project staff, how it's seen. But when it is told by contractor, how is it? It's just cutting the whole tree, the stem of it. Think kung talang tapin pipu nan siam may ni ka. Pero I think kung so atang atang lelam an tawa pipu so way to tan so way te thong may so tihan enpon. Pero kakani tani. But then what the community want is most important. What the community, what the users want is the most important. How is it? Let's see. This is how the community wanted. But how it was installed by the contractor is totally different from what the users wanted. This is the case of top-down planning. They don't even consult the community on how they wanted it to be installed, right? So in the project proposal, we are facing this kind of communication gap. To fill up these gaps, now we are talking about PRA. That is the importance of PRA, right? Whatever is identified by the community, we planned from the data which is identified by the community, with the community, by the community. Then we draw action plan, then we come up with the way how the community wanted it. A community tena anma mo ang tiyak ha, anma ni ne na kan implementation kan kita. Right. Here now we can go after all those preliminary points, we can go to the real PRA exercise now. Okay, PRA exercise. For this, maybe I will just show what Pumarina has shared with us also. I will share again. But then, you know, as we said, this PRA is a growing family. This PRA is a growing family. So the same technique, let's say social mapping. One person may present in his own perspective or based on the community's perspective also. So there will be a little variation in the map itself. The information collected will be different. So it's how do we call it? Diversity, a growing field, right? It's a growing subject and it's diversity. There is diversity in it. So let's see what I have in the slide. I'll just show you briefly, not covering the whole thing. Okay. Yeah, here, social map. We are talking about social map, right? We covered what is social map. Where we will not read all those anymore. We will not read all those anymore. Okay. But we will just see the social map of a particular village. Here, Kolkotai, which I scanned from one of my textbooks, which I have. This is published by Sage Publications. So you Sage, yeah, this is published by Sage. You can just have a copy also. You can just browse. This is very useful book. Here you can see, just to see how we can use this social map for the planning. We will not deal with so many details about the social mapping because Sir Marina has covered most of the field, right? The topic. Here you can see the legend side. Tiled house, right? The first one is tiled house. So here in this social map, be creative, because just by drawing the houses, they give number. Who is who? Like let's say this is here is the family with tile house, number 1. Number 2 is also a family with tile house. That means they are a little bit well-to-do, right? They are better. Also, you can see the second one is concrete house, and even better households are there, right? Then you can see thatch roof, thatch house. How many of them are there? In this particular village, you can see more of thatch roof houses, right? Here with numbers. Then that numbers will tell you who is there, whose household is there, whose house is there, right? Okay. So just by seeing this, you can know you can come up with the picture of the community. Here, giving the information about street light, right? How many street lights are there in this particular village? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 street lights are there. So these are drawn by the community. By the way, this social map doesn't require any scaling, right? In geography, we draw map using scale, right? But here in PRA exercise, we don't go for scaling. It doesn't have to be like so beautiful like this also. It has to be based on how the community draw, right? There might be good artists who can draw very nicely, but they may not be, the whole village may not know how to draw it, but then just to tell you the picture, that's enough. But you give the legend, Okay, then here well. How many wells are there? This is well, right? How many wells are there? 1, 2. Yeah, in this particular village, I could see only 2 wells, right? Then 3 temple, right? Temple, how many temples are there? Maybe only 1 here. Where is it? 1 here, or 2 temples are there. Okay, then 3 hand pump, television, TV room, radio room, right? Maybe this has been quite some drawn quite some times back, because they are still having TV room, radio room, but maybe in rural areas they may still have TV room, radio room, we never know. Then here, household with television, how many of them are having television? Where is it? I couldn't see. Yeah, 1. Oh, this is television. Oh no, this is the antenna one. Okay, anyway, doesn't mind. Television, household with television, maybe here. This is there. Okay, anyway, it's quite difficult because the screen is a bit small. I could not really find it immediately. But then just to see this, just to show this picture, PRA output. Okay, this tells us about the social situation of Kolkata village. Maybe this might be in the south, in South India, right? Kolkata. It sounds like South Indian village anyway. So here, based on this, what can we do? What can we do based on this PRA output? Let's say, okay, how many people are with that house? We saw about well-being ranking, right? Wealth ranking, we will cover also in the later part. Here, you could see thatched roof means this is not the preference of any household, thatched roof. But because they cannot just afford to have iron sheet, right? They have to go for thatched roof. That means their economic situation, socio-economic situation is a little bit, condition is a little bit on the lower side. So we can see how many poor households are there just by seeing this village map, a social map. Okay, then let's see the street lights. Street lights, three of them are there. Oh, here 4. It's concentrated in only 3 blocks here. You can see the block, right? Internal, the partition is with the 3 blocks, let's say. So that means the other one on the extreme right. So what might be the problem there? Okay, street light. So the government can just come up with installing street light in other blocks also. So those are the usefulness of PRA outputs. Then here you will see hand pump. How many hand pumps are there? 1. Oh, here you have only 1 hand pump. So what is the problem there? In the right extreme core, in the extreme right, you don't see even street lights. You don't even see hand pump. So that means their source of water supply is a bit far away. They have wells here, but it's very far to fetch water from there. Then to help them with a better water supply system, what do we need to do? Maybe we dig a well there, right? On the other block. Then where in the corner we can dig well also. Likewise, all this, just by seeing this information, we can just go and see the gap of the village. All right, it can be in many forms, right? So this gives us the baseline for the development, initiatives. But let's say, okay, we may say based on this, we need to install more of street light. But we discussed with we discussed that idea of installing street lights. Then what is the other option? So all based on these maps, we can discuss on various aspect of the village development. Here we could see tree, only one tree in the village, right? Only one tree in the middle of the village there. What comes into our mind? Oh, we need to do some kind of village plantation, fruit plantation, just on the side of the roads, right? Because they have only one tree, it's not good for environment, right? So we have to improve the environment status of the rural area, that particular Kolkotai village. So we did more of tree plantation, maybe along the line, the various streets. Those are there. Okay, then just by seeing this, we could see temple, two temples are there. And here we don't see any Christian church. So that means just by seeing this, we can say, oh, this particular village, most of them belong to a Hindu religion, right? So that means if it is a Hindu religion, what kind of development initiative is appropriate? Based on the Hindu culture, the Hindu religion, the practice, we have to see really with the community what kind of initiatives can be taken, right? This is just for social map. Okay, another one is a resource map, which we have heard of from Sir Marina also. This is related to the resources. What kind of village resources is available there? Okay, just by seeing the legend, you can see what is there. Community land is there, drinking water well is there, then irrigated land is there, waste land is there, then this functional well is also identified there, right? So well filled with diesel pump, well electric power, then the village itself, this black area is the village. Okay, so what do we do with this village? Just by seeing this, but if we really rely upon for village development, now it becomes very important for us, baseline lands. Okay, then you could see the numbering there. Okay, whose land, whose this wasteland particular is belong to whom? Maybe a particular family, which is given the number of 14, 31, something like that. Okay, so if the village has this big area of wasteland, what might be good? Can we generate something like income? Can we have it? Can we have this wasteland for income generating purpose? Heavy wasteland kan hanti tak hiadik tak chuan man tlak lo wangai ram bua nge kan ti ram cheng chia te pon mei thei ta amara chu tia map kan han en ringot hian atang kai na lang lem lo ta amara chu villagers ten han analyze tak tai la heti lai wasteland hi eng thinge thadu egatangi kan man tang kai thei. Okay, maybe in this wasteland, which is considered wasteland, maybe we can introduce some kind of medicinal plants, right? Hebi mun hi ramhul dam doi te chin nan te polo chapian mei thea. Maybe it's good for the medicinal plants or any other kind of income generating, or this may be good for, like, let's say, rural tourism, right? It may be good for rural tourism because there might be some kind of places where we can have adventurous activities, right? Or we can have roadway, or we can have suspension bridge, like with waterfall. Those might be there, we don't know. But with community, after identifying this, how can we develop this wasteland? That's important. Then here also we are given a picture of well filled with, no, this functional well, the square ones, you can see. the dysfunctional well. So how do we revitalize the well again, right? Just by seeing the resource map, we can just think of many options for the development of the community. But then whatever comes out of this, we have to go according to the desire of the villagers. Okay, one important thing is we have the resource map. Okay, we can say this village has many resources, very good resources. But then the question is the accessibility. The accessibility. Resource, sang oma ka resource ka tuten nge azar zawa tuten nge azar zawlo. Mi hausa chawin azar zawi. Is it only the rich who are enjoying the resources of, who are making use of the resources of this particular village? If so, what action is required? Discuss with the village. It will come out. So in this kind of PRA exercise, the rural people also may think that they know everything about their village. But then when they really come up with social map, resource map, that's when they come up with the real idea of their village. Oh, hey, to hey, tilamalong o mani mo. Hey, yung resource kan lo ne ni mo. Kung kan mau hak ha, heta hena lo o mani mo. Kalau kaya ngay re right? Those are happening. So when we involve the rural people, the community, with the community part, they come to realize that what is there in their community, right? Kanka anitani. Okay, another one is transact work. Sir Marin also pointed out, he has given us the transact work. But why we do transact work? This is a very popular technique also, method of PRA also. You could see there, just along, because this is just walking along the village, crossing the village, right? With the help of villagers, you take a walk, then you try to find out, you try to have some criteria on, okay, what information to be collected. Let's say, okay, now you started walking from top, you come down, then this area, you can ask, oh, what kind of soil is this area? They may say, okay, this is muddy area with red soil. Then you can just make a record of it, right? Then what is there? What is grown? What is growing there? Then with the information given by the villagers, you can just say, oh, corns are grown there, fruit trees are there, mangoes are there, bamboos, and all those trees are there. Then here in the middle part, you could see the soil type is also again mud, red soil, then sandy soil. Then in between you could see paddy. You may not be a good artist also, but then you can just draw as cross, right? Maybe you can even plan for, with all these resources, you can even plan for, like, let's say, mini hydroelectric power there. Like putting a turbine, where we can see, like in many rural areas in China, we can see these kind of streams are really useful for generating electric power, which do not require much amount investment. Okay, here you could see rice, bananas are grown, coconut, mangoes, eggplant, mango, squash, right? In this type of soil is there. Then here again, in the mangrove grove, you can see black soil and muddy. Then here the sea, in the right corner, you can see sea. So that means, oh, you can just say, oh, the livelihood of this village is mainly based on maybe sea, maybe fishing, right? Fishing. Okay, those are the observations you can make. But the most important thing in the transact work is identifying the problems. What is the problems? So here you could see from the transact work output here, you can see the problems identified by the villager is, since this is a little bit high altitude, landslides is the problem. Okay, If there is landslide, if landslides is the problem, maybe we have to use R, right? We say landslides, so it's not is. If landslides are the problem of this area, what development initiative you can take? So you can discuss with the villagers. Okay, maybe plant more trees so that it will prevent the landslide, right? Here, another one is pest problem, because these crops are attacked by pests. Oh, another problem to solve this problem is pest management. So here, you may not be good enough in pest management, or the local people, they may have their own traditional knowledge on how to manage the pest attack. If not, we can ask horticulture people, we can ask agriculture people, right? Based on these problems, we can identify the solutions with the community. Then here another one is, since it is higher altitude, lack of water is there, right? If there is lack of water in the high altitude and we want to cultivate some crops, what will be the initiative plan we can make? Maybe rainwater harvesting. Though they have stream down here or they are close to sea, in the high elevated areas, they don't have water there, but they want to grow something. So maybe it may be advisable, okay, if the rainfall is good in rainy season, we can make water harvesting tank there so that the crops can be grown there. Okay, here another problem in the middle area is flooded during rainy season. Okay, on the other side, lack of water is a problem, but here in the lowland, it's flooded with it. So what is the problem of the villagers? Tepui, do we go till 1:30 as my time is allocated up to 1:30? What do you say? Or we can cut down I don't know if it is boring for the participants. I just would like to know whether we should go till 1:30 as my time is till 1:30, or we will make it short and wind up. What do you say?
Sir, your time is still 1:30, so
Yeah.
it's up to your presentation. Like, you can make it short, or you can take your time till 1:30.
All right. So I will go till maybe 1:30, or just before that we will try to end up.
Okay.
I will not go beyond my time anyway. So, all right. So I'm hoping that the participants are also not feeling bored. So I just feel it like, since this is my field, I feel it like interesting to do the presentation also. Likewise, I am just hoping that the participants will also find it interesting. Okay, so that is it. In the middle, the flooding during rainy season. So if the problem is flood during rainy season, what will be the corrective measures, right? Maybe check dam to control, or flood control measures might be good. Okay, then lack of water during summer again. It's really strange, yeah? Because flood during rainy season, then no water at all. So water problem in summer. So what is the problem? What can we do? Technically, it's a challenging thing, right? Then here also another side you could see rainy season flooding. Then overfishing pollution. Yeah, because their livelihood is fishing. Maybe overfishing, right? Then what can we do? Sustainable management of, this area has to be made. If somebody catch fishes every day, like maybe 1 quintal, 10 quintals, and sell it to the urban area, which is beyond what he needs, or because we people are, we tend to get more and more, not enough at all. So maybe that kind of management, proper arrangement, okay, one person can catch this much of fish for a particular period of time. Maybe the village can discuss and come up with some kind of rules also. Pollution. Maybe people are throwing all their waste to the sea. right? So this kind of environmental, protection measures can be really taken up just by seeing all this data. Then as a whole, the village, you could see there, what is the main problem? Food shortage, right? Food shortage is there. How we can solve this food shortage? This has become now the biggest challenge for this particular village. Then we have to see, okay, to solve this food shortage, what action can be done? You discuss with the villagers in the Gram Sabha or the village community, right? Food shortage problem. It's a very challenging. Then can we solve it within our community itself? Or if not, who can help us in solving our problem of this food shortage? Sorry, my tongue is slipping. So food shortage, right? Yeah, it's clearer. Food shortage, landslides, pest problem, lack of water. Can we solve it within ourselves? The first question we have to ask is whether we can solve it. If yes, okay, let us come together and solve it. If not, where to go and ask for help to solve our problem, right? So we can see different agencies who can come up with, but this baseline data is very helpful for us to approach any funding agency or any other development agency. Okay, trend analysis, we will not cover much on this because we are running out of time. Here we can just see, okay, the number of source of irrigation is a well for this particular village. Okay, this is trend analysis. It's time seasonal analysis, trend analysis. They are all time related thing. Okay, so the source of irrigation is well there. But what strikes me is the number of wells. It's very simple, but then, it gives us the whole meaning of it, right? 1980s, you could see the number of wells in that particular village is 30. After 10 years, it increases to 50. Another 10 years, it increases to 75, right? But then you see below that, the water level of the well, when it is in 1980, the number of wells in the village was 30, then the water level is quite high there, right? It's quite high. But then when more number of wells is increased, the water level goes down. Then another 10 years goes, the number of wells increases to 75. Then the water level even goes down. What does it tell us? Maybe another 50 years or so, the water level of that village will really go down, and there will be a point where there will be no water, groundwater in the village. So now we have to tell the villagers, this is your situation. What can we do about it? How do we get the water level high again, right? So this is a really alarming situation. As the population increase, the number of wells increase. As the number of wells increase, your water level decrease. So what can you do to increase, to make the water level high? So these are the challenges you can point out from this map, right? So if it is the case, maybe if constructing the check dam somewhere to recharge the groundwater near that village, okay, that might be a good option, right? So those kind of problem identification and solution identification can be done based on this analysis, trend analysis. Here another thing is timeline. This is just giving you the history, the historical information of the village, right? The historical information of the villages. Here before 40, you can see here the criteria. You can see, you can just put on the top column there, name of village, crops, varieties, yields, fuels, house, infrastructure, food habit. But this will not give us much of the problem, because we are not identifying the problems here. It is giving us the picture, the history, the historical view of the village, that particular village. Okay, the village name is Sayanagar before, but in 1990s it was changed to Kulkurichi, right? It's a South Indian village, looks like the pronunciation, because it's really twisted my tongue also. Kalkurichi. Okay, that is there. So this just from this you can see, oh, when post office was started in this village. So this is still good for project proposal, because in any project you have to give a background of a particular community, right? So here this timeline methods can give you the whole information. Okay, the crops cultivated in the village before only 2, then 1953 crops, then another 6 from 1660 onward. There are 5 varieties of crop grown in this particular villages, right? And even the yield, you could see the yield is increased from the 1950 to 1990. See the increase of the yield. So that means maybe, okay, they may have used high yielding varieties, right? HYV. Those are there. That you could see the fuel use. Okay, now at least LPG is being used. Before they usually use tree from the forest, right? Which is not really good for environment, I mean, in the environmental aspect, right? All this information we can use it for not as identifying problem per se. We can use it for the village background, right? Those are there. So this is a time trend of a particular village. Then here seasonal calendar. We will not talk much about this. Like here, let's say, okay, what might be the best time? Now we have one of the biggest wage employment schemes in the world, right? MGNREGS, right? Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Some people say it's not a scheme, it's an act. But schemes, yeah, whichever term we use, and MGNREGA or MGNREGS. In some like mainland, they call it Narega. Okay, MGNREGS, Narega. So that wage employment, MGNREGS, we could see the wage laborer engagement in that particular village. Okay, these are the months. Down here, it's the local name of the months, which I don't know also, but maybe this is January, or maybe it may start from June. Okay, yeah, the whole month, 12 months. So you can see, okay, this particular season, you could see agriculture wage laborer, more engagement in agriculture laborer. So let's say this particular month, Margazi, I don't know what month this is, but then just to give us an idea, okay, here there is no engagement of wage labor. So practically this particular month, they may have low income because they have no option for wage labor. So if we can plan for a particular MGNREGS scheme during this period, particularly, it may be very helpful for the villagers, because they have no other venue for earning income. And likewise, in other cases also, we could see which particular months will be good to implement that particular scheme, right? This is just giving an idea of it. And here, Venn diagram. Venn diagram is also very simple and most commonly used. Any social work student will come up with Venn diagram first, right? This is chapati diagram also, we call it, because it looks like chapati. It's a round circle, right? So here we could see the circle, the size of the circle depicts the importance of any institution placed by the community. Okay, then you could see the cross cutting. So any relationship, we can see the relationship by seeing the cross section there, the line. So if the relationship is good, the crossing line will be, the space will be bigger. That means, okay, for this particular village, which institution they place the biggest importance is panchayat and bank. It's almost the same side, right? Why we need to identify this kind of institution? Because in development work, we really need integrated approach, right? We really need integrated approach. So let's say we identify a particular problem. Then let's say poverty is very rampant in this particular village. Then how do we solve poverty, right? Then you may need credit, right, from bank. So, but then with the previous experience, from the experience of the village, if they see bank as not so important, they may put a small circle there. Then, but then with the problem of poverty, we want to solve the poverty problem, then we need to approach bank people, then try to talk with them, so that means if the relationship is good already and the importance is there, the circle is big already, okay, that means we can say we have no much problem. Maybe bank can help us in getting credit, right? But if the importance is so small and the relationship is not that much and far away from the other circle, we can say, okay, there is a need for action. We can make the bank to come closer to the community, like that. These are based for planning. Okay, here another metrics ranking. We share with you one of my experience when I was with the JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency. You know, we visited villages. In a particular village, you know, with the agriculture officers also, they accompanied us. We discussed with the villagers what kind of variety is the best for you. You know, there was a conflicting ideas. They say, okay, this is good, that is good. But then when we really try to identify, giving all these criteria, now they say, oh, this might be the best, right? See, when you say resistant to pest, if the community is having a problem with pest, then we have to choose the variety which is best for resistance to pest, right? So by adding all these points, you can come up and see the best ranking. But if somebody wants to go for eating quality, right? We cannot say that, oh, you plant this one, which is not so tasty, right? So he can go for eating quality, which rice has the best. Number one here is the best. So Nagrasal variety, I don't know what variety is, but then eating quality, if the whole community would like to go for eating quality, then that's it. Then wealth ranking, we will not touch much on this because Sarbarina has touched upon it. This is the way I arrange it. Same with him. So rich household, average household, poor household. But how we use this? What is the importance of wealth ranking? Okay, now we want to identify the BAPL families, right? You know, there was one incident when I was in the District Rural and Development Agency. They were like during the NDA government, but the previous, during Prime Minister Vajpayee. A group of MPs came to Mizoram. Then they told the BDO, who is my friend also, they told the BDO, please take us to these BPL families from the list they did. So they had no other option. They took the MPs, group of MPs, to the village, I mean the house of the. So when they entered it, they saw all, and they could see refrigerators, and they could see ceiling fans. Then they said, oh, if we have BPL like Mizoram in the whole country, I think we will have no much problem. What does it tell us? identifying BPL, if it is from politicians, the government side, there is always inclusion error. No, there is always, inclusion and exclusion errors. Inclusion error is you include somebody who is not supposed to be belonging to BPL families. Then exclusion error is you exclude somebody who is supposed to be the real BPL families. Right? So with our present setting, we are committing this inclusion and exclusion error all the times. But if we really want to develop wealth ranking or poverty community, then the real poor of the community will come. In my training, I usually tell people that here in Mizoram, you all want to become BPL families. But if you go somewhere in the mainland, and if I tell you, oh, you belong to BPL families, you will really get angry with me. Mizoram as a BPL family ni kan sakve. Ama no supaya kal tayo hey kan BPL family niya tilang itinarim kopang. So that's how, anyway, we are not blaming anyone for this, but just to share my experience. That's it. So well drinking is very important method, because to implement project in a village, you have to know who is poor and who is not so poor and who is rich, so that you can know really the real, you can really plan for the development of the whole group. Okay, that is livelihood ranking. This is also, we will not cover much. Because this is a ranking of the options of the villages, right? So they may give you long list of livelihood option in the village. Okay, for example, it may be fishing, agriculture, animal husbandry, services, forestry, right? Okay, these are good options, no doubt. But let's see, we give the criteria there, the rating, the ranking criteria. Labor, okay, which one require more labor? Maybe forestry will not require much of labor. So comparing all these things, you can see the rank up there. The time, the risk, forestry, there is no risk. Services, there is no risk maybe. Okay, the time taken, then the return. If you take up this activity, what will be the return and what will be the cost? Cost benefit analysis will be there. Then if the risk is less, then okay, you add up all the scores. Oh, for this particular village, maybe forestry is the best option, rank number 1. So are we agreeing to go for that? If we say yes, okay, now let us come together for forestry project. Then what is the second? Fishing. Okay, this is fishing community. So we can go for fishing again. Maybe depending on our funds available, our fund availability, we can go to like maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4, up to any livelihood activities we can get. So the priority can be chalked up from here itself. All right. Almost the time is almost up. Then these are like based on the data we collected, we can just draw just to have a look. One sheet of paper can tell us the whole thing, right? This is example of a composite calendar, just preparing June, July, August, right? Hardest work period for men, hardest work period for men, women, management of chicken. This is the note I referred. I cannot change the word, but then here, kill for animal. They kill the chicken and goats for food, right? June, in the month of June. But they sell in January, sell at low price. So that means you can see the chicken and the goats, the livestock, they have to sell it usually in January, very low price. Then how to prevent that low price? Okay, with the season, when they get the high price, maybe you can just timing the raising of chicken also, like that. So those are there, help Okay, are we good?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Uh, we thank you so much, sir, Professor Niloma. And actually, I thought that you'll be taking a lot, much more time because, like, we were really interested in the presentation that you have given. So I hope we follow the lesson from our sessions, and I believe that our knowledge on PRA have been lastly enriched. Sir, we have
Yeah.
questions in the.
Tepui, I have around maybe one or two or three slides on the planning part.
Okay, yes,
I don't
sir.
know if you just
Eh,
one or two slides. It
Yes,
will
sir.
not.
You can take your time. You can take your time till the
Yeah,
end, like
because
all
that
your
this
presentation.
part
Yeah.
is important, which I feel it's quite important.
Sure, sir.
Anyway, let me just. Yeah, from this we will go straight to another slide. Anyway, this gives us a picture. Okay, here example of problem ranking. Now we have identified all the data, right? We have collected all the data using PRA techniques, right? Example of problem ranking. Okay, here problem one. What is the problem based on the data we collected? Number of people affected, maybe men, women, children. This can be in either way, many ways we can arrange. Problem one is this. Problem two is this. Problem of four is this, three. Okay, like this. Then here, the important thing is, here in the column, you can see solution depends on solving other, anyway, this likelihood we can solve the problem ourselves. Problem number one, we identified, let's say, okay, this is food shortage. Can we solve? Likely, is it likely that the community can solve? If we say no, then chance we can find outside help the problem. Then where we go, whose help we can find, like that. So this is the presentation in the tabular form, so that we can arrange all our data according to the needs of the project. Okay, that is there. Then intervention ranking solution. We have problem number one, right? Solution number one, problem number one, solution number one. Then problem number two, solution number three. Then problem number three, solution number three, like that. So these are the criteria. We can just put the grading there. Sustainability, whether solutions suggested by the community, is it sustainable? Is it equitable? Productivity stable? Is it stable? Then overall assessment. Then there we will see the strength and weakness of whatever we come up with. All right. Then here action plan. Now coming up with all those data, we arrange in a problematic form. Then we arrange in the solution form. Then what will be the action plan? Okay, solution number one, what will be the action? Let's say we have malaria problem in this particular June and July. What is what is the action? Okay, distributing mosquito net. So particularly in that one, we have to think that person responsible, who will be responsible? Then date to be completed. When we can complete, then the material needed. So this way we can draw a plan of action so that we can come up with the whole village development plan. I think so much is my presentation. Thank you very much. There are disadvantages and advantages in participatory approach, but we look more on the advantage side. All right, here these are the advantages and these are the disadvantages. But anywhere we go, any method, any technique we adopt, there will be pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. But in PRA, we take all the advantages side, even though there is a disadvantage. So I think that's all for my that's all my presentation. Thank you very much all for patiently listening to my presentation. Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah.
Tepui, thank you.
We thank you so much, sir. We thank you so much, Professor Niloma. So, yeah, it was a very great presentation, and hope so we will follow the lessons, and also I believe that we will be largely enriched by the knowledge that you have shared us. Mm, And I'd like to thank the participants. We have got lots of questions. Sir, you'll need to answer the questions, but so sorry because there are some similar questions. I have combined them in one question, so I will just shorten up the questions. I will read out the first to the fourth questions. So the first one is difference between PRA and baseline survey, which will be more helpful in planning and implementing a project. The second one is, can you please tell us the best reference for PRA? The third is there any difference between need assessment and pairwise ranking? The fourth one is, through your opinion, which method is the best to collect the data during this pandemic period?
Mhm. Yeah, maybe we have to repeat the questions again. Uh, anyway, the first one is the difference between the baseline and PRA, right? Okay, yeah, baseline, we are talking about data. So if it depends on the method we use. Okay, if the baseline data of a particular village is collected through the use of structured questionnaire or interview schedule, then PRA doesn't come in. But if we want to collect data using PRA techniques, then that can be considered as collecting baseline data through PRA. That's it. So the question is a little bit confusing, but then it's just a matter of using the methods, the technique, right? Baseline data, it can be collected through PRA methods. It can be collected through structured questionnaire or forms, right? In PRA, by the way, in PRA also, we usually have, SSI, structured, semi-structured investigation or inquiry, right? Some people put it like it's under PRA, but for me, I'm not for that. But then you can see from some literature, SSI, structured, semi-structured investigation. Those tools are PRA tools. Even FGD, they said focus group discussion can be categorized under PRA. It depends on how you look at it, right? How you look at it. So the question, the way I answer is, when you talk about baseline data, you can collect the data based on using PRA techniques or using structural questionnaire. I think that's clear, right? Because the question, the difference between PRA and baseline survey, it's a totally, I don't know. The way I see it, it's the difference. There is no difference. You can collect the baseline data using PRA. That's how I see.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, the other
The
one
last
is the
question is,
reference, right?
how will we differentiate social map, resource map, and community assess map?
Okay. They are all maps. They are all maps. But as I said, it is not to be scaled, right? It is not to be scaled. But when you say social map, it gives you the social economic aspect of it, right? Like, okay, the housing, right? The infrastructure available in the community. Maybe, okay, the group of different groups in the village, maybe Christian group, maybe Hindu group. So those gives you the social aspect of the the social information of the village. That is social map. But when we talk about resource map, we think of more of the resources available in the village, which can be forest resource, which can be water resources, right? Which can be like other resources, institutional resources like banking, At the same time, we can come up with both, mixing both of the social aspect, resource aspect in one map also. It depends on how we determine, how we decide to go about it, right? So the difference is just that the social map is depicting the social aspect of it. Then the resource map is depicting the resource aspect of it. That's all.
There are another questions, like
Yes.
I will read out the two questions, which is how to conduct a pairwise ranking matrix for a community that I am familiar with, and one is at what level does the government utilize the methods and techniques of PRA in various projects?
Yeah, the first one is how I apply pair ranking to the village I'm familiar with. The pairwise ranking was presented by Pumarina, Sir Marina. I think in the presentation it was made very clear. It also based on the criteria you develop, the information you wanted to collect. So I cannot just blindly say now that, okay, this is the best. The only thing is you have to determine in the field. So that is there. So, but in the pairwise ranking, there will be a certain column this side, the criteria, and another side on the vertical. One will be in the vertical side, and the other one will be, what is the other way? Vertical and this way. Yeah. Anyway, it's the line this side. Okay, vertical and what is that? Yeah, anyway, it's
Horizontal.
clear. So yeah, horizon. Yeah. It just came, went out of my mind. So horizontal and vertical. So just seeing the similarity there, then you can just rank, and then the rank will come up. So that's how I can answer, because everything depends on the situation, on the criteria you use. Yes.
Thank you so much, Professor Niloma, for giving us your valuable time and sharing the very important knowledge that we need to have for PRA, especially for social work students and also for the social work professions. So I'll give another information. This is a reminder for all the participants to please fill up the feedback form in order to acquire the certificate. We will now conclude the state level webinar. I would like to invite our esteemed head Department of Social Work, Mr. Rosang Liana Kyangte, to propose a vote of thanks.
Hello. Hello. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, First of all, let me start with the coordinator and organizing secretary of this webinar for the effort they put to organize the webinar on PRA, which is very essential component for the field practitioner like scholar and students. And also, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Professor Niloma, Head of Department, Extension Education and Rural Development, and Pu Lalrin Omah, Director, Relief and Development, Baptist Church of Mizoram, for accepting our humble request to be our resource person today. We thank you so much, sir. And it is a great honor for us that you spare your valuable time with us today, even though you have a very busy schedule in your own profession. And we have been fortunate to have you this time, and I am sure that we all are benefited from the excellent presentation, coverage of all the essential component with very good illustration like picture, draft, map, etc. That is very simple enough to understand even for the beginner like our student and other field practitioner as well. So we do receive lots of comments about about you, sir, both of you. And specifically being a teacher as well, it is obvious that your lecture will have impact to improve our teaching quality. That is very obvious that. Then, sir, we are looking forward to your kind cooperation, and we are enthusiastic to cooperate with you as well in the days ahead in order to bring about changes and development in the community, especially for the rural here in this very state. And we thank you so much to both of you, sir. And I would also like to express my thanks to our respected principal, Mr. Wansang Wansong, for his solid support and encouragement. And he is the reason why this webinar have been conducted so far. We thank you so much, sir. And I would specifically like to thanks to our technical team over here, Mr. Van Lalngakanamte and H. Laudwat Kima, who have been the backbone of the event. And we can't thank enough to them for their willingness and tireless involvement for this webinar. Then finally, thanks to all the participants, especially our student from the Divine Mercy College Aizawl, and field practitioner from the government and public sector, and dear colleague at the HETIM and Divine Mercy College Aizawl, we thank you for your active participation. That the number of participants also is not fluctuate at all from the beginning up to this time. And I'm sure that you also get benefited and learn many new things today. And at the same time, you are so lucky today being the audience of this webinar with these two prominent speakers. However, you are the one who are making this event success. And last but not least, we have been fortunate to have you all today. And thank you all, and God bless you. Thank you so much. Sir, kan lom lutuk.
Okay.
Kan
Ya,
lom.
Kak.
Let department I open.
Kan dituang saya lom, oke.
Oh, kan han say